Your local writers group is crap. Stop burning off your free time in the presence of introverted do-nothings. The Gosslings Writers Group Podcast, a digital game for writers. Writers who actually write stuff. Use typewriters. Who write all the people who've offended them into their stories, then murder the shit out of them. Writers who don't believe in dust jackets and name their pit bulls Hemingway. We're writers who lube their typewriters with gun oil. Because we're straight shooters. We don't always act pretentious, but when we do, we wear f***ing ascots. Welcome to the Gosslings.
Love that intro.
Thank you.
What's up, everyone?
Greetings.
I'm Jonathan,
Nick.
and we are the Goslings. And we are joined today by our special guest, our mystery guest, Todd. And we're going to be talking about some really cool. We're going deep today.
We're going deep.
Yeah.
This past week it deserves a deep conversation about the things that are going on right now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It certainly does.
Todd has been a good friend of ours for a few years now, and Todd is involved in certain circles, I guess you could say, that make you illuminated and privy to certain.
That probably makes me sound way cooler than I am, but
I don't know, Todd.
I'll
With
take
that
whatever I
mustache,
can
you're
get.
pretty cool.
All we're saying is
I'll take what I can.
Todd is plugged in to some legitimate sources.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a lot of fun talking about some very relevant and prescient things related to the larger geopolitical atmosphere.
You guys are going to love this because you are all thinking these things already.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are going to put those thoughts
all
in our mouths, and you will hear them in your ears.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
And you are not alone. And probably whatever you were thinking is probably true.
That's the big thing. You are not alone.
Yeah.
You are not alone.
You want to go ahead and do the toast?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. So if you're watching for the first time, first of all, we do this every Sunday at 4:30 Central Standard Time. So if you're watching for the first time or if you're returning, we do a toast, and everybody lift up your beverage of choice. I think we're drinking Dickel today.
Yeah, buddy.
Is that right?
Yeah, like
Dickel's,
aged 8 years.
Yeah, solid. Normally it's Bullet, but this isn't too bad of a substitute.
This is a good substitute.
Or if you have your if you're Adam and you have your Earl Grey, go ahead and lift up your Earl Grey because it's like 11 o'clock over there.
What can you do?
Or your water, whatever.
Enjoy it.
So, and I'll start, and then everybody else chime in with the second half.
Right on.
Take up the broken sword of your father
And strike
down
the
the
darkness.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, good one. It's got a little bit more initial bite than.
That is very American.
Yeah. Oh, you can really taste the 4th of July in that.
I can taste the red, white, and the blue.
But speaking of which, what is American anymore at this point?
Nothing is American.
Yeah.
Clowns are American.
Clearly.
Clowns run this country.
Yeah.
Clowns. I was talking to a friend and I was making a joke. I said, we have got to be in just like the most delusional, clownish timeline, universe, matrix.
Yeah.
The world has gone absolutely crazy, and I have gone with it, I think. So
I think we've all at least danced on the precipice, for the past probably the past 4 or 5 years, at least. But then, if you had asked us last November where we were going to be, no one thought that we would be here, let alone where we've been in the past, 2 weeks?
Oh, man.
Man,
like, if they had known.
Yeah, like Nick was talking about it, and he had mentioned it briefly earlier. Like, what's going on in the past 2 weeks, Nick?
Yeah, oh, man. Well, I think anybody with any shred of intellectual honesty, if they had known this would happen 8 months in, they would have changed the way they voted.
Yeah.
I really do.
I sure hope so.
Right,
I don't know how you could get.
If not, that might be the root of the problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It concerns me that there's not enough people who seem, but I truly think that gets to the point of this weird echo chamber matrix that everyone's created, insulated around themselves on social media, on all of these things. I even realize it with friends I have who I grew up with in a liberal town in New York, and they went to liberal colleges, liberal universities. They moved to liberal tech jobs or liberal journalist jobs in New York City. They legitimately have not talked to, like, they would think what we would discuss today, they think nobody thinks that. They've never interacted with people who do.
Wow. Talk about being insulated.
But it truly, I can remember when I was in my mid-20s, and before I moved to the South and was really around a lot of the gun community, I assumed most people I talked to were very liberal, just because when I grew up, most people knew I was kind of conservative, but it was just kind of the thing. Oh, Todd's like the conservative, but he's really nice. He's conservative, but like I never
burn a cross on your front lawn.
But I knew it was like, you just don't talk about that stuff because everyone is going to be like, whoa.
It doesn't do you any favors.
They knew I shot, and it was kind of left at that. And that seems to be a scary place because I don't think people realize what we are all being used for in this greater game of chess, seems to me. And we were talking about that a little before.
We should talk about that.
It seems to me like both sides, both in the media and in politics and in all these other spheres, they are trying to divide us into a race war or a class war or some other. You need to make somebody this and somebody the other. Yeah. Because the establishment, the swamp, the people that hated Bernie Sanders and hated Trump, those are the same people. And they're both you think they're one's Republican, one's Democrat. The reality is, I personally believe those people are all working for the same goals. Yeah. They are working for the globalist, corporatist powers that rule this world. And they have decided China and their market is far more beneficial than maintaining an independent, freedom-loving nation. Yeah.
Can I jump in there?
Yeah, absolutely.
I heard a rumor. No, I read this, that a couple months ago, China had meetings or dealings with the Taliban.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Because they want the rare earth metals.
Bingo.
Yep. Lithium and cadmium, baby.
Gold, among others.
Yep.
And they need that for their production, electronics,
bingo,
airplane,
and we need
airplane parts.
And they know we need it.
Yeah. And it didn't flat out say this, but it was intimated in the article that China basically told Biden, "Get out."
Yep.
So we want to come in. Get out.
I have heard the same thing. I have heard some more nefarious things, that the reason Bagram and other FOBs and items that were left in Afghanistan, that all these people are saying, well, why did we leave 33 Blackhawks? Why did we leave 16,000 pairs of night vision goggles? Yeah. Why did we leave fully armed drones? Why did we do that? Yeah. And I have heard, now, again, I don't know if it's true. I've heard that part of that was baked into this cake, was that these things would be left behind because China, if the Taliban has it, China has it now. Yeah. And China will pay them $1 billion for that one drone, and then China will reverse engineer that drone. And that's technology they'd never get their hands on otherwise. Yeah, exactly. Because they don't come in contact with our military equipment ever. Wow. Yeah, but they do in Afghanistan.
But they do now. Yep. Now they got a back door. Yeah.
And that is highly
that's an act of war.
Discouraging. I think the thing I think I take away from Afghanistan, the silver lining on this shit sandwich. Can I not?
Yeah, no, it's okay.
It's fine.
I promise I won't swear much.
It's all right.
I think the silver lining is that you see that now for 20 years we've fought the Taliban and the Afghanis or whomever you want, a combination of all these terrorist cells and groups of people. Yeah. And they fought the Russians before us, and they fought the British before that.
Yeah. And the Romans and the Macedonians, and it just keeps going
that on. Country has had the military weight of superpowers on it for if you take everything else away and just say the last 20 years, the greatest military superpower that's ever existed was fighting a 8th century cave dwelling, 90% illiterate, goat herding, which, honest to God, no offense to them, what they did to the U.S. military in the last 20 years is comparable to what we did to the British in the Revolutionary War. They took on, with no technology, no Air Force, no night vision goggles, and the silver lining in that is good luck to any tyrant or any government that thinks they can do that here.
You know what? I just told a girl on Instagram that this morning. There's some little chick that I follow named like American Cat or something on Instagram, and she's super cute and she works out, you know, and she's got all her tattoos, and
of course
she was in the she was in the military because of course she was.
She was in the Navy.
Yeah, probably.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. Yeah. And so I found that video of that little trainee talking about, you know, how like, if you don't think that like, you know, we'll do this to you, and I said that to her, and I was
in the military, explaining martial law,
right? Explaining,
you know, her
law.
MOS.
You don't actually have any rights.
Her MOS. She was a truck driver.
Of course she was.
Was she?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or
whatever.
Yeah. It was a truck driver. Yeah. It's probably never pulled a trigger.
Never.
So
that's my preferred pronoun.
Please send whoever that it was. Please send them to Mouse.
I'll take them. Yeah.
Please send them. Please send them to Mouse.
Yeah, because I need another head for my pipe.
You know what was so? I mean, it was just dripping with arrogance when she was talking,
and you know, and desire to do.
Yeah, you could tell she kind of was like she was begging for and what you know, and it's funny because she was only talking like that because the power and authority of the U.S. military behind her. Yeah. She felt like was behind her. Yeah. So she could speak and say whatever she wanted to say.
Right.
But it's not anything that she's earned or controlled for herself.
No, she
can be let go in a minute.
Yep.
You know, but when we get on here, we don't have anybody telling us what to do. We don't have masters.
Exactly.
You know, so we have to think about what we say before we open our mouths.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody lets us go. We let ourselves go.
Yeah.
You know. But that type of arrogance based on the power of the big person standing behind you drives me insane.
It's the Salacious Crumb effect from Return of the Jedi.
The little Salacious Crumb in front of Jabba. And you know what? I have learned that all the problems of my life have been a direct result of my big mouth, and there was no one behind me to step in and save me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're exactly right.
You know what?
You're exactly right.
At some point, there won't be anybody to save it.
Maybe.
You know?
Maybe. Let's talk about that.
Well, because I told that, I told that chick on Instagram, I was like, you know, the irony is, first of all, this is what comprises most of our military. This is what the military wants.
Yep.
The military doesn't want us.
That is what has changed.
They don't want patriotism.
They don't want patriots. They don't want straight white Christian men. They don't want men with high testosterone levels. They want anybody who is easier to control and easier to...
They want compliant.
Yeah, because that's what makes them. And so, like, I told her, like, you think you spent 20 years getting the shit kicked out of you in Afghanistan was bad? Go ahead and let all of your little chick friends in uniform who think they're badasses and all of your little gay friends in uniform who think they're badasses, go try that. Come on, bring it on. Because... it'll not work out. Well, you think Afghanistan was bad?
Exactly.
It won't
wait until it's
the way
you know
the storm. The storm would be unbelievable, and I don't think. I used to think, you know, the brilliant minds running our country and military and intel agencies. I used to think that was so formidable when I was younger.
Oh, sure.
And you realize now that maybe at one time it was, and there's certainly brilliant and tactically phenomenal people in all sorts of walks of the military.
Yeah.
But you realize, how could they be so tactically foolish with the way Afghanistan fell apart? And you think, if that's how incapable you are, given you have an Air Force, you have everything they don't have.
Yeah.
And I read an interesting report that they were talking about. So they've war gamed China taking Taiwan, I think like 12 times recently.
Yeah.
And the guy who they have running the Chinese, the CCP version in the war game is I can't remember who he is, but I think he's a colonel who everybody says he's like the best strategic guy. So they make him the Chinese because they want to fight strategically the best guy. That makes sense. And he's not lost a single time to the U.S. military. and they said, it's the problem we will run into is, when's the last time we fought any military that not was even comparable, but was even in the same stratosphere?
Chosin Reservoir.
I mean, and that was, we were still overwhelmingly stronger. I mean, Vietnam, Korea, they were a better fight for us than any terrorist organization or anywhere we've been since. But even Iraq, I mean, that war was over in 10 fucking days in reality. Now, you're moving and taking land and setting up bases and all that stuff slows and slogs, but it is unbelievable how foolish they could be. But they can.
I want to say hi to Adam. Adam's in the UK. He's our narrator.
Buddy.
And it's really important that he knows this. But it's really important that people in the UK especially know that we understand the crap that our leaders left for your leaders or your people over there. And you guys are not alone.
No.
That is not us.
Nope.
Yeah. We didn't vote for that.
No.
And it's entirely plausible that 75% of the country did not vote for that.
No.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
And
it doesn't matter who you vote for anymore.
Votes don't matter anymore.
To Adam in the UK, I think that is one of the things that is so important as of late, is that the I can't swear.
You can.
The problem, the effery that is happening here, that it seems so obvious to some of us. That's happening everywhere.
Oh, in France?
That
Germany?
What they are trying to do here is I'm fully convinced now that COVID, while it very much is a real disease, I think it's the PCR test has been turned into a way to make every flu case a COVID case. And so if everyone who dies can either die from COVID or the flu, and you don't know, but they both are labeled as COVID. But I think they realized COVID, it will be COVID lockdown and tyranny through medical means until communism or some type of faux democracy that is cloaked over the socialist, communist, globalist entity. COVID will exist till that is in place, or there is a civil war to disrupt that plan. I'm certain. I'm not certain of it, but I'm very convinced.
So you think this COVID business, it will never end?
No, I don't think they will let it end.
Not until they get what they want, because you look at what's happening in Australia. You know, what's been happening in Australia for 3 weeks now, 2 weeks now. You know, with the draconian measures there, you see what's happening in Paris. You know. You see the riots in France. You see what's happening in Canada. I mean, it's happening.
I'm proud of the French, actually.
For
standing up, turning out and show.
Years, but,
Give some. You can only run away so many times.
You can only, prove.
Eventually, you come back around to the other side and you get them from behind. So that's what they're doing.
Right. That, they were just playing the long game.
It's a French thing.
It's a French thing.
Shut down the Croissant Bakery. I'm gonna have some problems.
Exactly.
How dare they?
You can't fit a baguette in your mouth with a mask on.
One of the scariest things I've looked into recently is, so are you guys familiar with dengue fever?
No.
Ever heard of dengue fever? So dengue fever it's a virus.
Okay.
I don't know all that much about it, but I read up a little bit on the vaccine profile they use to fight dengue fever.
Okay.
And some of the Israeli studies that just came out, I don't know if you guys have seen that, they're finding it's not just that people who have natural immunity are able to fight the virus off better and not catch it, which they've tried to hide. And the reason they need to hide it is because you need to be forced. Well, and it's not, I don't even know if it's just the vaccine. It's just they need to know they can keep forcing you to do stuff. For COVID. They can't let you say, all right, well, if you got it, then kind of don't worry about the mask, don't worry about the vaccine. If they allow that cat out of the bag, then everybody will be like, wait, so I should just try and get COVID and get through it.
Like chicken pox.
Exactly. They need to convince you that can't happen or it's not going to work. And so dengue fever is somewhat important to look up if anybody wants to look it up.
Adam says, no, not the baguette. Adam manages a bakery.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
So my apologies. I am not the expert on baguettes. I just take a little dig at the French. Figured you'd appreciate that.
But so dengue fever, they had a vaccine for dengue fever, and it created a thing called vaccine dependent vaccine. Oh God, vaccine enhancement.
Yeah, vaccine enhancement. Yeah.
Vaccine enhancement.
It's where your immune system basically starts to shut down because it needs.
So
Because of the mutation.
So the vaccine. So how it interacted with dengue fever, it kind of like solidified how this all works. Like stories tend to be the way we, at least how I personally, that's how I remember things.
Yeah.
That I don't remember just stats. I remember a stat because of a story that's associated with that stat.
Yeah.
And so dengue fever, when they created the vaccine for it, they had this problem with vaccine enhancement. Yeah. And the problem was the first time you caught dengue, it was not great. But if you had the vaccine, the second time you caught dengue fever, you went into renal failure.
Yep.
And you had a 50% chance of dying if you were vaccinated.
Yep. Well, that's what Dr. Peter McCullough was saying.
And it's not that everybody has that happen.
Right.
But Israel's starting to point out that there is a little bit of a chance that it's not just a teeny minute percentage that get this. It could be a significant percent of people. And the scary thing I heard discussed with that as kind of part of the equation is if this was made as a bioweapon.
Yeah.
And it didn't evolve naturally. There's no one who can convince me of that now.
Yeah.
But I certainly believe it's possible it leaked from the lab.
Yeah.
Without them wanting to. And then just like Chernobyl, they had to deny it. They had because they're a communist government that if it looks bad to the world, it makes them look bad, and they can't allow that. Yeah. So they can trick their own people, and they think they can trick the world. Mm-hmm. The reality is, at some point, it collapses.
Yeah.
But I think there's a very high potential that they released it because Trump needed to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of things like we had talked about. There's a few military CCP memos I have heard about that. One is a 300-page booklet on how the CCP government can take over the global economy and world and how they can become the superpower. Yeah. And it's all based around this SARS virus that gets out, and China convinces the rest of the world you have to destroy your economies and shut down to stop it. Yeah. And China will just take the human cost and they'll lie about it, and they can walk around cities and lock people in their homes from the outside.
Yeah.
And that's how they fight the disease.
Yeah.
And if they can convince these liberal fools all over the world to destroy their own country and take away all their freedom.
And they will because they're paid for.
And they said, and by the time they're all destroyed, then China will be the inherent superpower of the world.
Yeah.
And that's it. So to get along with dengue fever and the vaccine enhancement is if it was released as a bioweapon and the vaccine does do that, there is a high potential that they could alter the genome of CoV-2 or SARS-CoV-2 and make it extremely deadly for people with the vaccine. So essentially, if you have a vaccine, you have 99% chance of dying because the vaccine is literally a doorway for specifically this new altered CoV virus. Yeah. And that certainly, I mean, there's a few things that would make the Civil War start for me. If they say you turn your guns in or you're a war criminal, then so be it.
I'm sorry.
No, you
don't
be sorry at all. I love that.
There's some thunder outside. She's a little nervous right now. It's okay.
It's a good girl. But I would say the thing that seems to be again like the silver lining in this all is it seems to me like there are a number of people on all the sides in all the different countries around the world who are starting to realize that this isn't what they've tried to convince us it was.
Right. Yeah.
And if they're lying about that,
what else are they lying about?
They have to be lying about everything else. Right? They have to be. There's no way.
Yeah. Well, that was that was the thing that I noticed probably over the past month or so. Because initially they were talking about shedding.
Yep.
There was an issue with shedding from the vaccine. And then, but then you got to get the vaccine, and there are vaccine passports, and, there are all these different mandates that are going on, and all this different stuff that you have to do. And it would be better if you just got the vaccine, And then, how hilarious was it up in New York watching, the incentives, the lottery tickets, the donuts, all the
Shake Shack burgers and fries.
Right. But if you're like overweight and you're diabetic, then you're like almost certain to like really have a hard time if you catch COVID.
Absolutely.
So let's give them a bunch of stuff that's gonna make them diabetic and overweight.
Yeah, and I had COVID in January,
so did I.
Right? And Ricardo, do you have symptoms?
I lost my sense of smell.
Yeah.
And the one thing I can certainly say is I've never really gotten it back.
Really?
You never gotten what?
My sense of smell back. I can smell stuff when it's right up under my nose.
Yeah.
But I certainly, and I don't know if it's just my allergies have gotten worse being in Tennessee or what, but I certainly sense that.
But you've been
since
here for
I
a few years.
And since I had it before, but since I was sick, I clearly don't have the sense of smell I used to have.
I got mine back, but the long-term thing for me has been I still struggle with brain fogginess occasionally. Just can't think clearly. Just can't get it going. And even when I'm driving, I realize that I have this fogginess. I have to be extra alert.
Seems kind of
weird me out.
kind of bioweapony.
It does seem bioweapony.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is that that doctor Peter McCullough, he said that, and I shared this with Jonathan probably more than once. But if a COVID recovery patient, right? So you and I, we've had COVID, we recovered.
Yep.
We have natural immunity, which is 13 times better than artificial immunity, according to that Israeli study that just came out.
Yep.
And they would know, by the way, because over 85% of their people
they are the most vaxxed country in the world.
And they're having a massive outbreak.
Yeah, massive outbreak. Delta is ripping through Israel right now.
Yep.
Assalamu alaikum.
Right.
Alaikum
they said the COVID recovery patients, if they then get the vaccine, they have natural immunity. If they get the vaccine and have a reaction to the vaccine, the severity of their reaction is 3 to 4 times
more
what it is someone who didn't get COVID and got the vaccine. Which means, and when I got COVID, I had a severe reaction.
Yep.
It was awful for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
That's a pretty good indicator that I should probably stay away.
How long did you have a temp?
About 10 days.
10 days. Wow.
Yeah, 10 days.
Because I had a temp. I spiked a temp. The night I got home, I played hockey. I came home.
Oh yeah.
And it was in December, and I came home. I think it was right before Christmas, because we were going to be going to Atlanta to visit my wife's sister.
Oh, yeah.
And she was pissed off at me because I came home from hockey, and I was like, man, I just feel like I got the shivers real bad. Took my temp, and we thought maybe I was just hot from playing hockey, and I just my temp hadn't come down yet. So it was just like, all right, I'll go in the guest bedroom.
Yeah.
And I kept taking my temp, and I spiked like a 101, maybe a little less than 101 that night. And then the next morning, and I never spiked a temp again, and didn't feel terrible, but I was legitimately very tired for even when I felt totally fine. If I got up and just walked around for 5 minutes, I was like, damn, I don't feel sick, but I am gassed. And so for about 8 to 10 days, I felt really tired, but not that bad. After for 2-3 days, I felt pretty rough, like I had the flu. Yeah. And then for another handful of days, I felt pretty beat down. I certainly, once I started getting back to playing hockey, I felt like I was like, man, maybe I do have some long-term COVID-y stuff. I just felt like I didn't have the energy and strength. But honest, I think sometimes, you read some of that stuff, and then I'm telling myself it while I'm out there doing something. I'm like, maybe that's why I'm tired. It's not because I
psychosomatic.
Yeah, it's not because I didn't do this.
Yourself that you.
I think that's the thing that was so odd to me that nobody will talk about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why will nobody talk about if you naturally had it? Is it better? Is it worse? They just won't even discuss it.
Yeah, they won't discuss anything, but you need to get the vaccine.
You need to put a mask on and you need to wear a vaccine.
They're scared of the science, is what they're proving to us right now.
Right.
Because there are these new studies coming out. It's not altering or impacting anything. They have these guidelines. It gives them that control. They're not going to listen. Now because it was, follow the science for a while. Well, the science is out, and it's not the information they wanted.
And it never has been.
Never.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
People knew it right away.
Yeah, they knew it right away. Like, you remember around
this
time last year, or maybe earlier in the summer last year, when they were instituting global lockdowns, and then they were also censoring
hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, budesonide.
What was the third one?
I don't know if I know the exact. It's budesonide or budesonide or something. It's another therapeutic. But they had to kill all the therapeutics because you can't get emergency use authorization if there are effective therapeutics for a disease.
Which is why there's no treatment for COVID. They won't allow doctors to treat COVID. You have to get it bad enough to go to the hospital. If you're hospitalized at a certain point, they can give you treatment.
Yep.
But they won't do it right now.
Yep.
And that's it. Because there are treatments for COVID.
Yep.
At home.
Regeneron, ivermectin, and they won't talk about getting healthy, eating healthy, vitamin. Honest, my dad told me, he said everybody we've seen in the hospital, he said they immediately put you on aspirin to thin your blood. Because they're finding out that they were putting everybody on vents at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
And it turns out it's not a circulatory or it's not a respiratory problem. It seems it's a circulatory issue.
It's because it's got HIV spike cells in it.
And
attack your organs via your circulatory.
And that's why if you got a bad heart, if you've got diabetes, which beats your fucking veins up, and it seems that's one of the things that seems so odd to me.
Yeah.
Even at the beginning is it just everything is demonized other than you just need to stay in your house. You need to put this on your face.
Yeah.
You need to not talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And poor Australians right now, man.
Yeah. I tell you, that's what makes me think it's more along the lines of what we had talked about in, so this virus leaks out, whether it was intentionally leaked or mistakenly leaked. It gets out of the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
Mm-hmm.
They have to lie about it because they can't let everybody know. But I think this either was a perfect kind of confluence of different things happening, and the liberal machine here realized we can weaponize this to destroy Donald Trump.
Yep.
We can destroy the economy.
Yep.
We can destroy the middle class.
Yep.
And if they can destroy the middle class, they can destroy private property.
Yep.
No one. That's the eviction moratorium.
Businesses.
They have to remove freedom, and they learned it from George Bush, the Patriot Act, every time. And I think they realized with COVID, whether it was intentional or not, after they started doing some of this, they realized they'll just give it all to us. These fools will give it. All we have to do is scare them.
Yeah.
And so that's why we can't let they realized, oh my God, this is the ticket.
Yeah.
And I have heard some interesting things that a lot of the things done under the George Bush and Barack Obama presidencies were stair steps, setting up a Hillary Clinton presidency that would be allowed to weaponize that virus that was already being planned in the early 2000s as a way to reset the global economy as a one world government, a one world people, no racism, nothing. You're all the same. You're all Lego. You're all a Lego, and we're going to build whatever the hell we want with you.
And you're going to have your cryptocurrency that's going to be tied to your vaccine passport that's embedded in you.
And
social credit.
Social credit.
I truly think I have heard that Donald Trump broke this equation because they did not anticipate it was even possible he could win in 2016, and that's why it was a somewhat free election. I'm sure they still did some
Dominion's voting,
but he did it in 2022, and that's why they had to shut down those states. And that's the other thing that you think, man, if they are so evil and demonic and planning, they didn't see that. They didn't see that as a possibility.
Right.
But then you see Afghanistan and you're like, they didn't see that as a possibility. These morons, these clowns.
That really does make you think. That's the
Like,
question
that's
you
how it
always come
happened.
back to with our government and how obviously, like, just a lock shield phalanx of just, it's a Luciferian Hydra. It's just they're all clearly evil. They're awful, degenerate.
Yep.
And it really makes you think
Nancy Pelosi is at the top of that.
Aren't
top
they,
of that chain.
Talking about Nancy?
Old
Nancy,
dentures. Dentures Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi?
You know, well,
She's
it's
despicable.
like you think to yourself, like, are they Machiavellian or are they retarded? You know, because that's like, honestly, that's where
I think there's probably some who are definitely evil. Probably a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of them are probably just bought.
Oh yeah.
And not even.
Yeah.
I think they probably like
Just
Cori Bush thinks she's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't think AOC even. I don't think
Yeah.
this is like some evil plan of hers that she wants to instill like Chinese Uyghur slave camps.
Right.
She doesn't.
Yeah.
She just is so stupid that she doesn't realize everything she stands for.
Yeah.
That's the end goal.
It would have
is
her
that.
facing the wall in 6 months.
But I think
You
they so well. There's a great KGB agent who did an interview in the 60s, the late 60s.
Mm-hmm.
You guys should definitely check it out.
Is this the Yuri Brezmenov?
Yuri Brezmenov.
1984.
In 1984? Okay.
1984 when he came over here.
I
was just watching that this morning, actually.
That is...
Yeah.
You shared that with me one time.
That video.
That
video tells you why you have AOC.
Yeah.
Tells you why. Because...
Talk about how they're going to first infiltrate the education system.
And when you infiltrate one... You make sure that everybody who's teaching the next generation is a little more progressive and indoctrinated than the previous.
Right.
And so now
they're playing a long game.
Now everything you've seen for 2, 3, 4 generations are people just getting more of that.
Yep.
And
more woke.
And
More
he said it in the 80s.
baby.
He said it's already done.
Yeah.
It's already done.
Yeah.
The game that we played is already in place, and there's nothing you can do to change it.
Yeah.
We've already indoctrinated all your professors in the 60s and 70s
Mm-hmm.
were already liberal, hippie. You think Princeton, Harvard, all the people who are 4-star, 5-star generals now, they aren't General Patton.
No.
They aren't guys who drug their knuckles in the sand in Fallujah.
Yeah.
They are Colonel Vindeman. They are
Millie.
They are
Yes.
McCabe. They're
Petraeus.
these cowards, these cowardly, evil demons.
Yeah.
And
just these little weasels, these serpentine, self-serving.
They're yes men with the brass.
Grime of worm tongues.
So do you guys know the deputy director of the Health and Human Services, the trans lady Rachel
the
Levine?
ogre.
Yeah.
The cave troll.
Guess who she went to high school with?
Barack
On the
Obama.
same football team.
No, who?
Mark Milley, General Milley.
Of course.
No
yeah,
way.
they're on the
Of
same
course.
football team.
Yeah.
Is that not like
Yeah.
you just think? What?
You know,
I mean,
he
not
was-
that says anything about him. It's
He
just
was the halfback,
it's fascinating
Yeah.
that one of them was the center, the other was the quarterback.
Yeah.
They
Just waiting for that ball to drop.
it just
He was the center.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, he was the Oreo in that. He was the filling in that Oreo.
But
Yeah.
it seems so odd to me.
Millie's the one who talked about
White rage.
he wanted to understand white rage.
Yep.
And it's just, if your eyes rolled any farther in the back of your head, they pop out your ears.
He wants to understand white rage, but he doesn't understand to keep the fortified 30-minute outside of a major urban city air base that you already own, that you already have defended, that has 2 full C-17 runways on it for a private airport that you don't control, that's in the middle of an urban city, that has
Full
one
American
runway,
citizens.
that has one runway.
Yeah.
That's the same guy.
But
And-
he's worried about white rage.
It seems odd to me.
We're
That's the
problem.
reason that
We are the
whole-
problem.
How it was how Afghanistan kind of transpired seems suspect to me.
Oh, yeah.
Is that I've talked to nobody in the military or anywhere for that matter who doesn't immediately understand just that basic concept of exfilling, of evacuating a military conflict. And it seems
veterans are they're ticked off. Veterans are so ticked off at how it was executed, how thoughtlessly it was executed, and the result of it. Now we have 13 dead servicemen.
Yeah, it's going to be more.
We got
probably not
10
servicemen,
Marines,
but
a Navy medic, and two army soldiers.
It's hilarious. They keep talking about, when the left needs to get woke virtue points, they love to talk about green card holders and visa holders. Have you noticed that they keep talking about American citizens? They refuse to give the number of green card holders and visa holders that they're leaving behind. And green card holders legally have a right to be in this country. Now, there's a whole nother problem I have with some of the other aspects of that. And when you have 100,000 fighting age males abandoning their wives and their children
to come over here,
getting in a fucking C-17
so they can fly over here.
So I have a huge problem with that.
Yeah.
But all that aside, there are people there who did fight for this country, who put a ton on the line, who are being left behind, that the media conveniently doesn't talk about now. But when they want to talk about voting and suppression and minorities, that's it. Well, green card holders, they're rightful citizens. And so it's interesting that it gets played the way it gets played.
Well, it's the one, Afghanistan has proven to be the one recent event that could overshadow the border.
Yes.
The southern border, as being a complete national security sieve.
Yep.
It needs to be shut down right now.
Oh, yeah.
The situation we just created.
Yeah. They need mayhem.
But they couldn't do that. We've been doing that with the southern border for 30, 40 years now, at least,
George Bush,
baby. Thank you. All those. Yeah. I mean, hey, you gotta have, when you're in Malibu, you gotta have somebody weed eat for you, But European countries have been doing that with the Somalians,
absolutely,
and it's destroyed
the Ilhan Omars.
Yeah. And so we can't really do that here because we don't have any of those countries connected to us. But you can load a bunch up on C-130s and fly them over here, and C-17s and fly them over here. Fighting age males.
And that upset me. I think the thing that upset me the most about all that is I heard a few things about that first. Remember that C-17 that had all the people falling off?
Yeah.
And those pictures from inside that C-17 looking out on there, and everybody was saying, "Oh, there's no women, there's no children on this plane."
Yeah.
Well, I found out that almost all those people on that C-17, that was the first, because they thought that was the last military plane leaving, and a lot of the Afghanis thought that's the last shot you got getting out of this place.
Oh yeah.
And so that's why they stormed HKIA.
I see.
And all of those people on that plane were just guys who literally pushed their way through our military and ran onto the C-17 and wouldn't get off.
No way.
And they were like, "All right, well, let's just take off." I mean, again,
no vetting process.
No, not even.
Oh, no.
And not even the vetting. It's just those were guys who left their wives, left their children, left their families. Those people weren't with women and children, and they didn't even try and bring them.
Baby.
Yes, not even try and bring them. They were getting out, and be damned whoever else got left behind.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are simple answers to complicated problems, and there's a simple one for that.
Yeah.
But there's a great quote. I'm gonna butcher probably, but it's. They said it's all about your will to fight, and they said an enemy needs to understand that you have the capability to hurt them, but also that you have the will to hurt them. Yeah. And even more importantly, they need to understand that you have the capability and the will to do it.
Yeah, sure.
And that's what the Taliban knows is not happening right now. They know it. They know it.
Well, everyone in the world knows.
There's no will. You might have the capability.
China knows it.
You haven't used
Russia
nothing.
knows it.
For 40 years, you could have wiped out anybody you fought, and you didn't do nothing. You just sent a bunch of, and the military brass might not want high testosterone, brave men, but they certainly want them at 18, 19, and 22 years old to go die at the gates of Kabul airport.
Yeah.
That's where they need brave young men. Yeah. And they send them to Vietnam. They send them to Korea. They send them to Iraq. They send them everywhere in this world to go die for some. I was talking to my dad and I said, it's interesting to me. Probably the meaningless, useless war died or started the day that Vikings stopped storming shores where the guy who was the leader ran at the front of the line. And if you were going to go send 200 people to die, you were going to die first. Yeah. And now that you've got Joe Biden, puppet clown, up there, he's not, Biden, baby, and Millie and all that stuff. Those guys aren't ever sending their kids or themselves to go die.
It's that fortunate son.
And that it bothers me greatly.
Oh yeah, of course. It should. Yeah, especially if you have veterans in your family, especially if you have friends who are in the military, if you work with people in the military.
But unfortunately, right? Most of this world, like we were talking about, a lot of this world has no interaction with those people.
No,
they don't. No. When you're in that world, you're like, oh come on! Like I run into military people everywhere, every day, all the time. Yeah, people living in Manhattan.
Yeah.
In San Francisco,
and a lot of that
they aren't running into anybody who has a cousin in the. They don't know nobody who's in the military dying over in that sandbox.
Yeah. And the sad thing is, they, we on the conservative side, we cling to this fallacy that if martial law, if the tranny thing ever, if she gets her way. Yeah, they'll all be on our side. All the cops will be on our side. No, they won't.
Some will.
No. Yeah, you'll maybe get 15% attrition rate. Who
depends on how close they are to their pension.
True.
It depends on how far away they are because
closest to their home.
Yeah, true.
Because they don't deploy National Guard to the same state.
No, that's true.
Iowa gets sent to Tennessee. Tennessee gets sent to Nebraska.
Yep.
So you don't have that familiarity of, oh, hey, Joe. Yeah, no, it's okay if you keep your Remington 700.
Yeah.
I understand it's flooding. No, you're just another person. I got orders, and I got a colonel. And after 2012, when Obama vetted everybody colonel and above, everybody colonel and above. If you don't know this, look it up. Everybody colonel and above was vetted in 2012 by Barack Obama to where, if you said that you would not be willing to fire on your own citizens, you were retired. And just like I got people in that sphere who talk about there were thousands of officers, colonel, and they chose colonel specifically because if there's something like a hurricane, a colonel is typically the one placed in charge of that. So they have effectively gutted the military of any sort of patriot. Who won't fire on their own people. Now they'll all fire. They'll hand the orders down to the 18 or 20-year-olds, and I've met these guys.
That's what
and they'll do it. They'll kick your door open and they'll shoot you in the face if you don't come with them. They'll do it because they're ordered to, because they're 19, and just like cops.
And they're being told something. Because you're exactly right.
Because they've been told we're terrorists.
Well, yeah, right. You see how
and they're not jags.
You see how it can happen.
Yeah.
You're in the Iowa National Guard, and they bring you to New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And you're kicking in people's doors. And they tell you all these people are right-wing, white supremacist militia people. Now, I'm saying, if you're in the military, you should be aware that nothing they're going to tell you is true. Nothing they're telling you now is true. Nothing they told you the last 20 years is true. It's obvious they've been lying to us. But that all aside, it's crazy to me that you see what I think of reality in the world, and you see how what they were able to do to Trump in the public world of public opinion.
Oh, yeah.
You don't think they can do that to a bunch of 19 to 25-year-old young impressionable men? You think they can't bring them to a different part of the country and tell them some story that has no basis in reality?
Bunch of nobodies. I mean, Trump was the president.
Exactly.
ISIS can be on Twitter, or Taliban can be on Twitter, but Trump can't be on Twitter, and no one's burning Twitter headquarters to the ground, and no one is shooting their children's faces in the head with shotguns and flaying them alive in the front of Twitter headquarters like they should be doing. But instead, instead, you're just Joe Blow, whoever. You're for sure getting your door kicked.
They will disconnect. They will disconnect who they need to from what they need to. We were talking about it before. So there's a great movie called Mr. Jones.
Oh, Mr. Jones. Yeah. Tell us about Mr. Jones.
So it's a movie about the Ukraine the famine in Ukraine in
early 20th century, right?
Yeah.
It was part of the Marxist communist takeover of
as
Russia.
the USSR took over all that region.
Yeah.
The Ukraine had the most farms and growing arable land. And so the USSR needed the grain from the Ukraine.
And they were the breadbasket of Russia.
What Russia decided was, like in communism, to each what they need and from each what they can provide. And so they went to the Ukraine and said, all right, you're just all going to starve.
Yeah.
We're going to take all your wheat, all your grain, and everything. It's going to get shipped all to the other parts of USSR and kind of fuck you.
And sold for weapons.
Yep.
They sold their grain for weaponry to other countries. And then of course, 50 years later, when they're collapsing, they're selling off all their weaponry, And anyways, continue.
So the movie's about two reporters, a British journalist and an American journalist. Durante is the name of the American journalist. He was a New York Times reporter, won the Pulitzer Prize for his reporting on the Ukraine during this time.
Really?
And he reported consistently for years. Nothing was happening bad in the Ukraine. Everyone was happy. Everybody loves communism.
Oh, that's right.
Everything is amazing.
Wow.
It's a utopia.
It's a utopia.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's beautiful.
It turns out Durante was being paid $18,000 a month at the beginning of the 19th century. He was getting paid. He was living in the biggest penthouse in all of Moscow.
Of course.
He was gay and had hundreds of lovers, prostitutes. He was doing heroin.
Which was not okay in the early 20th century.
All provided by the Russians.
All
provided by the Russians.
Yeah.
It was
By
never disclosed, and he won hundreds of awards for his amazing journalism on what was happening there.
Oh, of course.
And a gentleman who I think he went by a surname of Mr. Jones, who was the British guy who wrote about this, and he was ostracized from the world. He revealed all that. And he revealed it all. And when he was revealing it, everybody said, "You were kidding me? This guy's won a bunch of Pulitzer Prizes, Durante. You're a liar."
Yeah.
So he hitched a ride into the Ukraine and rode off into the farms out there, found a family dying of famine, and wrote about a bunch of this and was blackballed for it.
Yeah.
And was blackballed by his own government in the UK. Mm-hmm. Was blackballed by the Americans.
Yeah. It's called Mr. Just a movie?
It's a movie. It's called Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, but it shows you that what's happening now.
It's the same thing as what's happening 100 years later.
They're telling you what you see is not true. Yeah. What you see, some Maggie Haberman from the Washington Post is going to tell you that right-wing extremists are planning a coup in this country when these clowns are stealing your country from under your face, and they're telling you it's not happening.
Right.
This patriotic sentiment has existed for decades.
Yep.
And only now are they taking everyone with that sentiment and shoving them to what they call the far right.
Yep.
Yeah.
To polarize them against the rest of the country.
Yeah.
Why have I been raised to,
salute the flag.
Salute the flag. Say
Take
the
your
Pledge
hat
of
off
Allegiance.
when the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah,
is
the colors mean something to me.
Yeah.
I look back at our
But
history.
now they
I
mean
look at the
oppression.
founding fathers. But now it's a symbol of all. It's just like an about face on, half the population. You know what's interesting about patriotic sentiment? If our American patriotic ideology was as strong as the Taliban's ideology,
it would be a different ballgame right now.
it'd be a different ballgame, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
If we really believed in patriotism, if we really believed that, it'd be a different scenario.
Yeah, you are absolutely right.
You talked about how the Taliban was, you compared them to the colonials, the ungrateful colonials.
Yeah.
No, but you're exactly right. It's truly impressive. And my God, Bin Laden said it. A bunch of the guys who have been high up over in that region have said, you guys are new to this game.
Mm-hmm.
We've been fighting foreign powers that have way more than we could ever dream for 100 years already.
Yeah.
We're going to be here when you're gone.
Yeah. My boss had a great phrase about that. He said the Afghanis had a phrase, the Americans have the watch, but we have the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bin Laden said that.
Did he?
I don't know if that's his quote originally, but he certainly
germane to Afghanistan.
He used to say it apparently.
Yeah.
But Nguyen Diep, the Viet Cong general, he said why the Americans lost to us was because where you are strong, we will be weak.
The way of the fleet.
And where you are weak, we will be strong.
This is the art of war.
The war of the fleet. He said we are like vapor. You can try and grab us, but we just slip through your fingers. Yeah. He said wherever your big brigades go, we won't be. We don't need to fight you. We choose the place and we choose the time.
That was General Lee's big thing in the Civil War was fight on ground of your choosing. Such a simple concept.
It really is. And his big thing was, he said, the Americans, he said, what you don't understand, the Americans, he said, you guys are this big military force and you build these bases. He said, but everywhere you go, you have to go there and hold it.
Yeah.
Then you have to defend that.
Yeah.
Then you have to defend and scout out and get a new place. And then you have to hold that and defend that.
Yeah.
He says, you're always losing people along this trail. Yeah. You're like an ant colony that loses half and then loses half again and loses half again. Yeah. And he said, we will attack you, and then we're gone.
Yeah,
we'll attack you, bomb you, and it's what the Taliban did. It's what ISIS does. Everybody does. Yeah, is where you are strong, we will be weak, and where you are weak, we will be strong. And
they have giants,
and they have the Kandahar giant,
right?
Yeah. Who can come out of nowhere?
Sorry, little side.
No, but it's there is a diamond in that. That's the silver lining, I think, to all of this stuff. As you read history, you realize, that might be you someday.
Oh yeah,
that might be you. And
you might be in a cave with your family.
And those people, you say whatever you want about them. I certainly don't appreciate that they kill Americans. Those people think and are defending their home.
Yeah,
and what they think is right, and
they're tough.
And this idea, this liberal, metro, urban, Yale University idea that we're going to go into countries
cosmopolitan
and we're going to learn you upright. We're going to learn you savage. You savage. Uh-huh. It's so liberal. It's it's
not a conservative concept.
No, it's this. No. It's the urban cities.
It's
you savages, little savages here in downtown Baltimore.
Yeah,
we're gonna take care of you.
Oh yeah,
and we're gonna demand that all the boards have 2 black men on it and 2 black women.
Yeah,
you might not deserve it, but we're gonna make it. We're gonna get you there. We're gonna help you get
and
there.
We're gonna
it's
celebrate.
So condescending, and it's the same thing they do in other countries, and it's why those. There are I'm sure the women in Afghanistan loved, and I'm sure there's a lot of good people who love that we were there giving them freedom and a shot at hope.
Yeah.
But there's, what are you going to try and change millennia?
The only way you change that is you start doing what the British did. You start or what the Spanish did with South America. No one really likes to talk about what the conquistadors did. But what the conquistadors did is they rolled in and they took a harem of a dozen wives. And they just started squirting out babies. And in about 40 years.
Such a descriptive.
Yes.
Writer.
Oh yeah, by the way, we're a writers group.
Yeah.
Hey.
We are right.
All right. Yeah. That's sad. Let's get back to politics.
But really, it's the way we fought it, and that's the thing,
we don't have the will though. We don't have the will.
Our politicians didn't have the will. It's the same thing with Vietnam. Our politicians didn't have the will. They hamstrung our military.
They want to do it, but they don't want to do it. They want it to look good, but they don't want it to look like war.
Unlike Russia, which
don't give
a shit. Yep. They'll just go in,
Burn it down.
We could have gone in, and it's you only have about 2 or 3 options for really successfully winning a war in Afghanistan. First, you glass the place.
Yep.
Return to Sulaco.
Carpet
nuke
bomb.
it from our orbit.
Yep. Carpet bomb.
Yeah, and you just genocide the place, move your people in, move Monsanto and Microsoft in.
Mine for lithium, mine for rare earth minerals, and make it worth the cost.
Australia Part 2. The other option is you move in there and you start creating a united, a Dubai sort of situation. I don't know if you've ever read anything about Dubai.
Don't know.
Dubai is it is like a cyst on the heart of the topography of the land. There's like no wind. There's no water. Like it's like Vegas or like certain places in California.
Okay.
It is completely antithetical to have a city in this place. And it's all manufactured.
Yep.
But it's there.
Yep.
And if you dump enough money into anything, you can make it work.
Yeah.
So you could have done that with Afghanistan.
Yep.
You could have moved in, set up Starbucks at every corner. It's like McDonald's says, we're not in the fast food business, we're in the real estate business.
Yep.
And that's what they do. Set up a bunch of McDonald's, colonize the place. Or you come in as conquistadors. But what you don't do, and
It's
everybody
half-assed both ways.
is half-assed it with one hand tied behind their back, limiting the military.
Yep.
And the thing is, like, you'll get like the little he-she's on TikTok who will brag
M88
about doing
MOS truck driver.
I know, right? Motor T.
Bronson. Her name is Bronson.
Motor
Yeah.
pool. She's the
Which
motor
is so
pool.
frustrating because
Motor pool.
I'm an '80s kid. I remember the actual Bronson, the real Bronson.
Yeah, the real Bronson. Yeah.
And
the,
you got this little
that thing.
this little butch cut tranny.
But the thing is, everybody says, like, I've heard the argument, well, but the politicians, like, they didn't really want, to wage a real total war in Afghanistan. It's like, okay, well, fair enough. But that
Then you shouldn't go.
You shouldn't go. And that same mentality, you think that they didn't want to wage a total war in Afghanistan? What do you think it's going to be like when it's on their own soil in their own constituency? They're going to be hamstringing the military even more.
Yeah. Unless they're totally evil.
Yeah, unless they're totally gone.
But
in which case,
I fear that what they fear. They fear
Doors unlocked.
They fear
Doors unlocked.
They fear this kind of stuff more than they fear the Taliban.
Oh yeah,
They fear us more than they fear the Taliban.
absolutely.
Because it's more of a existential threat to the Taliban's
to what they're trying to achieve.
If they really, if our government really needed to and thought the Taliban or whomever was a threat to destroy the Capitol building, if they thought what happened January 6th, if they thought a group of 1,000 Taliban would just march into the Capitol building, they would nuke Afghanistan
tomorrow.
They don't. It's all a PR game.
Yeah.
I am perfectly convinced that Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, for that matter, or anyone on the right has any affinity for any other group of people other than themselves.
Oh well,
not even us as Americans.
Because
they don't care
DC
about
is
they don't
such
care
a
about us.
swamp and such an enclave.
That's
and
what they're worried about.
they are worried about. Yeah, because
And that's what needs to happen.
patriotic Americans, it didn't used to be that way. It used to be you didn't live in DC. You returned home, twice a year? You would go to
That's why
DC?
there's never been term limits for senators.
Yep.
Right.
You're
And
not
so
supposed to
they're afraid of
be a
their own
swamp creature.
constituency. They're afraid of patriotic, self-governing Americans who don't need the government. They
Which is
want
ironic
people-
because we are if they weren't so corrupt, who we are and who most Americans are,
we'd love them.
are zero threat.
Right. We
to
are only
America.
a threat to you. Right. We are only a threat to you if you are evil.
If you have an evil agenda,
Yeah.
and you are trying to control.
Well, and to
Storm's
Todd's point,
coming.
baby, bring
oh
it.
man,
Bring the thunder.
It should come to
You know?
Fairfax, Virginia. It should come to the suburbs of DC
Yeah.
and the suburbs in Virginia.
Yeah.
That's the first place
That's
the
the
storm
enclave.
should start.
Yeah. That's where all your Tucker Carlsons are hanging out with your
All
AOCs
those people
hanging
should
out
know
and
what
having dinners
what
with-
South Side of Chicago feels like.
Uh-huh.
All those people.
Well, that's the other thing too. Like you mentioned, the urban environments. Like, if they really cared about national security, you can tell who's on the payroll and who's not, because January 6th, they're putting those people in solitary confinement with no trial.
Yep.
For treason. They're Patriot acting those people.
Putin even said,
Putin
called them political
crawled up
prisoners.
he
Yep.
After
broke
we
off in
accused
Biden's
him of
ass about
taking,
that.
Yep.
yeah, we
Yeah.
said, hey, you're
Clowning
taking
us.
political
Yeah.
prisoners. You're
Oh,
a
the
tyrant.
National Defense Authorization
you have
Act is in
political
full
prisoners.
swing
Yeah.
on the political prisoners from
It's
January 6th.
ridiculous.
However, if you that's why Antifa and Black Lives Matter are very clearly controlled by the deep state, who is the state now. There
Yes.
is no
Yes.
good state anymore.
Yes.
The deep state is the state. There's
That's what Trump
that's why they
illuminated
don't
for
get in
me.
trouble.
Yeah.
That's what Trump illuminated for me
Yeah.
was That was the first time I
'Cause they
realized
all hate it.
these people aren't on different sides.
No, they're
They
not.
aren't on different sides. There
No.
are certain people who have diehard beliefs in a certain topic or thing that typically puts them on, like Rand Paul.
Yeah.
Or I think, even honest to God, people like Bernie Sanders and AOC. That's why that's why he was screwed out of the nomination, because he's an actual believer
and
of a lot of those things.
The chick got caught. What's her name? With the memos, the black lady. She got caught.
Oh, Donna Brazile.
Donna Brazile.
And
And she's still around.
Yep.
Nothing happened to her.
Yep.
Well, that's why Biden's not going to be impeached. They're going to get rid of Lincoln instead.
I think. I don't think Biden will get impeached. I think the establishment in Swamp, though,
useful.
They didn't see. I don't think they saw. I don't think they realized how quickly he would fall apart.
Really?
Because I don't think they're willing to do the 25th Amendment just because it looks too bad.
It does.
It looks too politically bad. There's going to be a trial.
That's a good point. No,
people are talking about that. They can't have that. Nancy Pelosi can't. They'll kill Biden.
Yeah.
Before the 20th. He'll have a heart attack.
Yeah.
And
he'll get COVID.
Hillary Clinton will be walking out. Yeah, 100%. They'll kill him.
Yeah.
He will be Epsteined long before they do the 25th Amendment. I wonder if they will convince him to step down for whatever reason. Come up with some medical reason that Joe Biden had a small stroke. He's fine.
Yeah.
But he doesn't think it's right. He's not going to be back in tip-top shape for 3 months.
Like that movie Dave.
And
do you feel like Harris would be as controllable as Biden? Because she'll step into the seat, obviously.
She doesn't have full
but
she's a whore.
She's a whore,
which makes her even more dangerous.
True.
Oh yeah.
And probably controllable. Right. Just in the sense of just in the sense of I think she's probably so power hungry that
she's willing to do.
She'll do.
Well, that's obvious.
And that's why she was put on the ticket.
That's the one thing we do know about her.
She was put on the ticket because she's a woman.
Yeah.
And she could be pitched as black, even though she's
half Indian,
half. Yeah, she's half black and half Indian.
Yeah.
So for everyone else, that would be you're Indian, but if when you need it to be, she's black.
It's sort of like Barack Obama.
Yeah, he's half white.
Yeah.
But
he's black.
I think they don't like her either. I think she was used as a optic tool in the election. A woman, she's black.
I heard Gutfield on Fox the other day say that he goes, they didn't put Biden up because they wanted him to govern. They just put him up because they wanted to win. They just wanted to win.
Yes.
Yeah,
they just need to get past that line.
Yeah.
And they were going to ramrod their agenda.
I think if Kamala, I think that's why Biden hasn't already been removed in some fashion.
Really?
Is because I think they thought she would. But again, this comes down to how could they be like? I saw this. She's so unlikable.
Yeah.
He was an absolute train wreck, and every week he's more of a train wreck because he's getting older every week and demented.
Yeah.
But how could they have not seen that collapse of him? And I think they've realized like there's a reason she's not out. She's not in front of the cameras. She's not.
She was keeping a low profile.
If they were gonna make her. If they were going to get rid of him and want her in,
they would have propped her up more.
She would be. There would be puff pieces on New York Times and Washington Post. She's doing all these things.
Who is it then?
Well,
they got to have a front man.
I think I read a crazy thing that they said one of the scariest things would be they come up with this. Joe Biden's had some type of medical issue.
Right.
Yeah,
but he's going to try and stay president.
Oh, okay.
But we're not sure if he can do it. He's had a stroke. He might need 3 months, and that they will pitch.
Imagine how that would embolden our enemies.
Well, I think I heard that the pitch would be, I'll have a little more splash. That they will pitch, hey, listen, we don't want to do it. We know there's not too many provisions for it, but but that they will try and say, hey, we think it will be best for everybody. We're going to do like a committee Like we're going to have these 5. It's going to be a bipartisan.
It'll be a squad.
It'll be a bipartisan commission that will run the country. It will be a judge.
10 heads and 7 horns.
Nancy Pelosi. And they said the reality will be a Liz Cheney Republican or Mitch McConnell who they can red meat so they can throw to the foolish Republicans and say, oh, well, we got a Republican in it, so that's totally good.
Yeah.
And that will be the beginning of you no longer have a democracy.
You don't have
and then they'll use that 3 months and say, look at how well this has worked.
Look at how great this is.
Yes, it's worked so well. And we don't have one person making the decision and one person who can get in trouble.
Yeah.
And
now we have a community.
Yes. Yeah. So
that would not surprise me at all. And the hilarious thing is how effective Trump was in his first 4 months in office. What did
Adam said? Adam's got a ditch. He's got to go to work.
All right.
He'll be back. He'll watch it over the next couple of days. Remember peanut butter camera time.
Heyo.
I'm actually going to rename. I'm going to rename our potato cam
peanut
this
butter
episode
camera time
for peanut butter camera.
All right.
Yeah.
Like
peanut
that.
butter camera after party.
All right.
It's really funny. We joked about how when you switch, this camera the battery runs for 2 hours.
Yeah, we got about another 45 minutes on this battery, and then it'll die. We'll switch over to the bad camera on that's built in.
Bada bing.
Once you swap to the FaceTime or the inboard Apple camera,
So
it's
you guys
so
have-
crappy.
It's
Because it still looks better than the one in my laptop, but it's so crappy. It looks like you're filming through a potato.
Peanut butter. Oh, sorry, it's so great.
Yeah.
Well,
Peanut butter camera.
cheers, Adam. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. See you, Adam. Love you, bud. Take
Yeah,
care.
hey, to Adam. Thanks for watching, man. Cheers.
Yeah, that's a scary thought that they would go to some sort of committee.
Yeah,
That's a scary thought.
I
An unelected committee.
Yeah, unelected.
In an
All
elected,
of-
an elected.
And that's
office.
why you should not. That's why you have to understand that police are not your friends, because police, their chief of police, their commissioner, they're not elected positions. They're appointed positions. It's the same thing with soldiers.
Yep.
Generals aren't elected.
Nope.
Generals are appointed. And we all want to think that these guys are our buddies and they're going to help us. And you might have some who might cover for you.
Yep.
I mean, I know all the cops down at the town where I work. And they're all friendly and they're all great guys and they're all on board like us.
Yep.
But that's 6 out of the 600.
With
6,000.
sheriffs, it's different, and
Yeah.
sheriff's deputies.
Yep.
They're loyal to the sheriff.
Right, and the sheriff isn't elected.
Man,
Yes.
what a scenario that would be.
Yeah.
Appointed police officers and elected sheriffs and sheriff deputies.
Yeah.
Man.
Going at it, baby. Yeah. And the citizenry would side with the sheriff's department.
I would think so. It seems to me like the scary thing is this game that they're seem to be setting up for us is I think at least the establishment on both sides needs to cause some type of major conflict in this country.
Oh, yeah.
They're starting to realize that for both sides, for the Antifa, BLM left, and for the right wing, as much as they talk about this militant, crazy, white supremacist right wing, there's certainly some people who are that. But they realize a huge percentage of the Trump voters are not. They can classify us that as all they want, but they know we're way closer to that than we are to believing in Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi.
Oh yeah,
Right.
100%.
And they also know that, I think they think a bunch of the Bernie bros and the squad would eventually come to the middle and do whatever they're told because they're all coward pussies.
Yeah.
But there is a group on the Antifa left that they realize is not accepting of even somebody as progressive as what's happening now. They think this is what's happening now is like hyper racist.
Right.
They think like Joe Biden is.
They're so far.
They think Joe Biden.
Yeah.
If he doesn't eliminate all debt and give everybody free everything, he's a fascist.
Yeah.
And he's a racist, bigot,
I think they realize.
Yeah, if he's not a communist, he's a fascist.
And I think they realize they need to weaponize both of these groups against each other to just decimate the ranks.
And I believe, and we were talking about this earlier,
And
I
then you
believe
move in and clean up the rest.
that is the whole reason why Antifa is so heavily funded, and politically protected.
Protected.
They're protected by the media. They're protected by the government.
Police. They're protected by chiefs of police
At all levels.
and the cops will protect them at every turn.
Absolutely.
I've started to wonder even more recently. Is like as COVID has gone on, and you start to realize that the fear, kind of what they need, what they're trying to drive home with COVID.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's to cause this conflict that thins the ranks of both this MAGA right wing and this Antifa BLM left wing. If we can get them to kill each other, the reality is they know whatever skirmish or conflict that would be. It's not like both sides are it's not going to be 100% death rate, 100% death rate.
Right.
It wouldn't even be close. It'd be 10%, and both sides would stop because we are a generation of cowards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Weak people who haven't done what Taliban have been doing.
So
Those
great
people
if
can
you
take
just
it.
Couple weeks ago, there was in Oregon. I think it was in Oregon. It was Oregon or Washington. There was discussion, I think, in one of their congresses about mandating vaccine passports.
Yep.
And there was a protest outside of people who were against the vaccine passport. People who didn't want to be told, "Hey, show me your papers."
Yep.
Right? They were protesting. Antifa shows up and causes a ruckus.
Yeah.
Counter protesting this group.
Yep.
So here you have a group that touts themselves as anti-fascists.
Yeah.
And
supporting
anarchist in most
supporting.
The
Well, they're against the people.
Right.
They're protesting against the people that don't want to be told, "Show me your papers."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's
the double
it's
speak
all
is
a lie.
amazing in the gaslighting.
It's all a lie.
It is. It's all a lie.
Antifa is a lie.
Yeah.
So what?
And I know people, by the way, who genuinely believe that no one in Antifa should be prosecuted because they don't have a leadership structure. I have heard actual human beings say that to my face. Like, you're an idiot, and you're part of the reason why these people.
They don't do that with with gangs that deal drugs.
Nope.
If you're a bottom level dude,
Yeah.
you're dealing drugs, you're out, you're gone, you're in jail.
Yep.
Yeah.
They don't go after your leader.
Right. They don't
you're
only
your top
go after
dealer.
what's his face.
Or it's organized
El
crime.
Chapo.
It's
They
an
don't only go
organized
after
crime
Chapo.
organization.
Right, yeah.
It's ridiculous. And Adam had a point too. I'm gonna
No,
just jump in real quick.
go.
He said he leaves us with one thought: is this not already in place above all our governments? It's a good point.
Yeah.
But we just don't know about the puppets that are potentially in place and already being directed from these groups.
Yeah.
You are exactly
I
right.
couldn't agree more. Of unelected and unknown powers.
Yeah.
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 You can't see that the head of the snake wears a hood.
Yeah.
He's wearing a hoodie. Can't see his face.
Yeah. I think you're all exactly right. I think the scary thing, and what Mr. Jones, the movie, kind of illuminated to me the most was this isn't new.
Oh, yeah.
The Rockefellers.
Yeah.
The Rockefellers and the Rothschilds
Yep.
got us into World War II
Yep.
Yeah,
because they wanted to bail out entire countries and empires and then make profit as they built themselves back up.
Yep.
And they controlled every government everywhere in the world.
Yep.
Because they controlled their money.
Yeah.
And the British don't want to do what we want? Well, how about we tank the British pound? That's what Rothschild called Churchill and said, well, if you don't do this, I'm going to tank the British pound tomorrow morning. Yeah. And
he did.
Here we are.
And he had to ignore all those missives from across the pond.
But the thing I always come back to with all that is it's why they need to try and take our guns. Yeah. And it's why so many people here will be the hill they die on, because you're still going to have to, well,
look at Australia. They can't own guns in Australia. Australians, dude, those are like some of the toughest dudes on earth.
Yeah, you're fighting a wallaby every time you leave the house.
Dude, have you seen the size of their spiders?
Yeah, the crab spiders alone will kill you.
But they can't own guns, and so they're like testing Australia to see how much they control, they can exert over.
Australia has been a testing ground for about 25 years now that I've known of, for about 5 to 10 years out of what they want to do in the rest of the world.
Dude, if they had owned guns, there would not be the tyranny you're seeing going on in Australia right now. Not those men.
Yeah. Yeah, those dudes would have blown their heads off.
Dude.
And if you have no means, there becomes a point where I suppose even without guns, And there's enough of you there in Australia that they no matter what they have, they can't stop you.
No, if you're willing to pile enough bodies at the plant,
if you're willing to die, if you're willing to die, and Antifa should prove that to you, and so should everything that happened January 6th. Yeah. You don't even need to have guns. If there is a big enough group willing to say, you're either going to kill me, or I am going to go here or do this. Yeah. The reality is 90% of the time, you will go there and do that. Because there's very few people who are just willing to waste 1,000, 2,000 people.
Yeah, how many? It's like you want to ask the Petraeuses of the world, like, how many brigades are you willing to waste subjugating the Tennessee Valley? How many do you have?
But so I think that the evil demonic plan is they need these two groups to get they need this Cold War to boil so hot that both sides decide some conflict needs to happen. A violent conflict needs to happen. And it happens in a few different places. And I think what they want is they need that to happen. They need bloody conflict to happen in multiple places or a bunch of places in the U.S.
I think you're going to see it next year during the midterms, because I think Antifa and BLM and other groups are going to come out in force during the midterms.
I think what
they're trying to go to that. They want that to happen, like you're saying.
I think what they want, I think the establishment wants that to happen so that the 50% caught in the middle who are like, whoa, I'm not political. Like, you guys are crazy on the right. They're crazy on the left. They want those people scared. Yeah. They need the two perimeters to battle so that it terrifies the other 60,
there are a lot of
70% of this country, and then those people will give everything up.
Yep.
Well, because if COVID will make you give it up, 5,000 young kids dying,
domestic violence,
a neighborhood away from you, and dead bodies all over the street. No one in this country. They will give up everything,
and they'll be happy to, because, and this is, I think this is true, but
it's a shame.
There will be a lot of people who will give that up because a lot of those people are very scared.
Yep, and
all those people I talk to who are scared,
kids,
they're all They're all women. Yep. They're all single moms.
Yep.
And they're all on social media.
And they're programming it. That's what they've been programming for 10 years.
And that's the voice that becomes the loudest. I mean, we've known for probably 60 years now or 40 years that women are the largest buying demographic. Mm-hmm. You don't market to men. That's why there's nothing for men. Yep. That's why, I'll be honest with you, every show that you people think is cool, whether it's shows that I think are cool, like Fringe or Yellowstone, or pretty much everything but The Mandalorian, like you think Sons of Anarchy is cool, all of that is chick porn. Yep. That's pornography for women. Every single bit of it.
That's a good point.
Yep. Because pornography for men is I get to watch a really hot chick bang something.
Yep, it's lust.
It's just pure physical, and it's the physical act of sex. That's not pornography for women. Nope. Pornography for women is the hero's journey for men is to be the knight to rescue the damsel in distress. The hero's journey for women is to civilize the savage man.
Yep.
So every one of these shows that's popular, every single AMC show,
crazy stallion of a wild man.
Yeah, it's all it's
by love.
Yeah, tamed by one woman's love.
There's an entire
and
book
that's
industry.
Her battle. Like The Walking Dead. Yeah. Okay, The Walking Dead, ostensibly a zombie show based off of a zombie comic. But I was thinking about this earlier this week. Why was that show popular? It honestly was popular because it's chick porn. The central conceit of the first few episodes in the first season was not the zombies.
Yep.
It was a love triangle.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it was Rick and
his buddy and
the guy
and his wife. Yep. Ass Eyes, the guy who plays the Punisher.
Yep, I was just gonna say the guy who plays Punisher.
And so that's what gave that show legs.
Yep.
And everything that happened after that, they're already snookered. They're already suckered in at that.
Yeah.
So all these shows, I love talking about how much I hate Sons of Anarchy because it pisses off dudes who are not used to being pissed off and they don't realize what women they are on the inside, you know? And I do.
No, man, I love Sons of Anarchy.
I love Sons of Anarchy. It's really cool. It's a dude show. No, it's not.
I didn't love that show.
You've been snookered into chick porn. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, but all of that stuff, but it translates over screen aside. It translates over into like social media, where like social media is not a platform for men in any regard.
No.
I mean, Todd and I, we've talked about like social media and how like if you don't, and you're way more successful at it than I am. But if you compare the numbers at least, but like if you don't spend 10 to 20 minutes a night going through and commenting on other people's stuff, liking other people's stuff.
If you're not paying a service to do it, or you're not doing it yourself,
you're not going to be, it's
unless you're a celebrity for some other reason that has a following that creates an account that immediately has, if you have 300,000 followers, I suppose there's some just recycling ability of that it just kind of perpetuates itself. But
I actually know I know a guy who his wife used to work at the firm.
Okay.
The company is called The Firm. It's sort of like CAA in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Managing Paula Abdul's Twitter account.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. So like his wife and he said that they worked in like an office, like almost like a cubicle office, and like she managed Paula Abdul's account, and she did Paula Abdul's tweets.
Yep.
So all of Paula Abdul's tweets was done by this one chick.
Yeah.
And then like next to her was the dude who did like Taylor Swift's stuff, and then on the left was the the chick who did Snoop Dogg's stuff.
Oh man.
And it's like
it's all fake.
It is. It's all theater. It's all fake.
It's the Matrix.
Everything you see
we are living in the Matrix.
Yep.
It's just not, your body's not hooked up to anything.
Yeah.
They've just got your mind hooked up to this echo chamber fake world.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how, like, I kind of see it from 35, but you think about somebody who's grown up their whole lives with this.
Like my kids,
Like
growing up, they don't know a world without this.
Yeah. You're 2 years old and you just iPhones and iPads and all of these things and news feeds and all this and
YouTube.
You think it's crazy to me.
Well, and it is such if you ever doubted whether or not the Globo Homo Hydra exists, the beast system
GAE
of Globo homogenization,
Gay American Empire.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you ever wondered whether or not that really existed, look at social media, because social media's whole objective, the internet's whole objective, and by the way, the internet was designed by the government and developed by the government. If you think there's anything you've ever done on the internet that isn't recorded by the government because of some fruity little VPN that you pay $19 a month for, you are living a pipe dream.
They got it.
Like other countries might not have it.
VPNs aren't.
Yeah, all that stuff doesn't mean anything to, and Antifa doesn't matter. Black Lives Matter doesn't matter. No one is an enemy who can really hurt you except the government. Those are the only people that you should really be afraid of. Those are the only people who can really hurt you.
They're the only ones with the power.
Yeah, they're the only ones with Hydra rockets and Predator drones. Even MS-13, you could wage war against MS-13 if you had to and probably win. Okay, Mitt Romney's family has been doing it in Mexico on their territory for 50, 60 years.
Mitt Romney.
So,
and he's a pussy.
Yeah, and he sucks.
So you could definitely do it.
So, like, if you think that anything you've done on the internet is not being subjugated by the enemy, you're absolutely wrong. But the internet and social media specifically exists to decentralize you and to isolate you and pull you away, so you never talk to your neighbors. You never know what your coworkers have going on in their lives. You're never going to go to a barbecue because you can sit there and you can swap memes with somebody in Montana who you're never going to meet. Who, by the way, if your house catches on fire,
not going to be there.
He's not going to be there.
It disconnects communities.
It disconnects communities. It destroys communities. Think locally, act locally. That's the best thing that you could do for this country.
I agree.
Is just shuck all of this, and you need it. Like we need it. We need it for our books, and God bless it. Like, there's a silver lining in every cloud, right?
True.
We wouldn't have Adam if we didn't have the internet.
True.
Adam lives on the other side of the world, and we love it.
There is a beauty. There is a beauty to it, but it is highly dangerous.
Yeah.
But
it's dangerous because it metastasizes like cancer. And it wants to take over every bit of your life.
So,
join
it's
Twitter,
intrusive.
join Rumble, join Facebook, join whatever. You know?
Oh,
it's like, stop.
It is a succubus.
Yeah.
It's a succubus.
You can't buy an appliance or a vehicle or a home that doesn't connect to the internet on its own without asking. As a matter of fact, most if you get a new laptop, you get a new device. When you turn it on, it's going to automatically open the things that it thinks you need to be looking at.
Really?
Not the things that you want to look at.
Yeah,
None of that. No, everything is now being designed to connect to this digital global matrix.
Dude, were we talking about the printer debacle and Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Dude, okay, so I got a story about that happened this week.
Right.
I was trying to print off what I had for Sasquatchalypse. Sasquatch
on an HP printer, I bet.
Yeah. So I was trying to print it off at work for a local cop who's a buddy of ours.
HP printers are bad right now.
And I wanted him to have, because I had emailed it to him, but he couldn't really read it on his phone. So I was like, well, let me see if I can print it off for you, Hughes, and you can just read it. Because he's like us. He follows all the same stuff that we do, and he's kind of going crazy. And I love him, and it's like, maybe I'll just give you this, and you can get your mind off.
Yeah, chew on it.
Yeah, you just whatever, and then you can literally chew on it because I'm printing a copy off for it. And so, but anyways, in the process of trying to do this, I spent probably the better part of 45 minutes trying to unfoxtrot this printer.
HP printers are
because it's Wi-Fi connected, and it used to be in the old days, dude, 15 years ago. When I bought a Brother printer that just literally connected with a cord. Yeah. And it ran beautifully until it died in a move.
Yep.
But now it's it's got to talk to each other. And do you want tray 1 or tray 2?
I've heard that. I don't know if it was your problem, but I've heard that all the HP printers are causing tons of issues with anything Apple related right now.
Really?
Because
interesting. That wouldn't surprise me, actually.
Apple just announced to HP internally or something, I heard.
Yeah.
That Apple's coming out with a printer that's going to be released soon. And so HP, as a proactive measure, said, fine, if you're going to make your own printer, then all Apple products won't be able to work with HP printers then.
Yeah.
And so they did it before Apple released the printer because Apple wouldn't re-up their contract or something or wouldn't sign a certain length contract. So HP said, fine, then we'll just cancel it right now. And everybody who has Apple products then can't print stuff off their printers. And Apple was like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, because they were probably like, fine, screw you. We'll make a printer and everybody will bail on you.
Yeah.
So they're not going to get rid of their iPhone, their Apple computer, but they will get rid of your HP printer. That's what they will get rid of.
Yeah.
And they'll deal with being pissed off at us for 6 months.
Right.
And then we're going to make $1 trillion because everybody needs to buy a new printer who has anything Apple.
Yeah, we can run a sale on them, for the first 6 months, first 2 months,
and we'll take away all your market share in no time, and then we'll run the show.
What bothers me is that none of the new technologies actually physically connect.
Right.
It's all wireless, and the problem is if you send something from your, if your point of origin is your iPhone or your iMac or your Chromebook or your PC, whatever it is, when you send it wirelessly to a printer that's in your home, it goes through your Wi-Fi.
Yep.
Yeah. And that is connected to a router that's connected to that is your IP.
Yep.
And once you send it wirelessly to any device in your home, NSA can snatch it. And they do.
It's susceptible.
Yeah. And they do.
Have you ever heard of traffic shaping?
No.
What is
that? Traffic shaping is Snowden talked about it a little bit in some of his stuff he released years ago, but it said essentially the NSA isn't legally allowed to track communications domestically inside the United States.
Okay.
They legally can track anything that goes international. If you send an email to somebody over in the UK, that legally the NSA can spy on it and openly spy on it and say, yeah, you, Adam. So there's a thing called traffic shaping that the NSA and the CIA uses. And when they need to track somebody or see all their communications, your IP address just gets routed through a server in Malaysia or a server in Tehran. And they say, whoa, well, we didn't know this, but Jonathan's searches on Google are going through Tehran, so we had to look at it because we saw that it was going through Tehran. So we have to look at all this information.
Yeah.
And then they legally can. They need no warrant. And they're looking at all your information.
Amazing.
Wow.
Because that's the whole market for the VPN thing.
Yeah,
The whole VPN thing is so that you can choose to do it. So you could be like, oh, I want my ISP to say it's in, my IP is in like Brazil or Paris, and now you're just handing the NSA.
And they said Snowden said the NSA 100% was doing it 10 years ago.
Yeah,
and he said that's how it came up again.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not doing it
with the Tucker Carlson.
I'm sure they care more now.
When they got Tucker Carlson stuff, there was a few guys who I had talked to who said almost certainly that's how they got it. Was Tucker Carlson's? They heard Tucker Carlson was going to try and interview somebody, and they thought, well, probably be best if we know everything he's talking about. And they just Tucker Carlson's anything he types into his computer at home is getting sent to. They go to the ISP and say, what is this address's ISP? Yeah. They get it from them because there's probably no law saying they can't.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's not. They can know what it is. They're just not allowed to legally look at it. Mm-hmm. Okay. We swear. We just want to know what it is. We swear we won't look at it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then they just say, okay, we're going to reroute.
No, they're good.
We're going to reroute IP address 162. Blah 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 blah. We're going to reroute it through Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And then if we ever have to back it up, we'll just say, well, my God, we don't know how it was happening, but somehow Tucker's ISP was going through Kabul. And we thought, well, shit, Tucker Carlson's ISP address in Kabul. We should look at that.
Who's he talking to?
Oh, man, he's talking to Putin. Okay, well, let's look at his text messages. And that's the kind of evil the swamp is.
Yeah.
But I still, the beauty is all the money in the world, all the technology in the world, all of that. It's not what it's not what you need in the end.
No.
What you need in the end is people who are dead set, legitimately willing to die for something.
Yeah.
Because these cowards in DC, if a group of 1,000 people with ARs and body armor showed up in the suburbs of Fairfax, Virginia, and started going in, kicking down doors and taking families hostage of senators and congressmen, those clowns.
And guess what? Your youngest is getting the bullet right off the bat.
And they may be so evil that they don't care. But not all of them are that way.
Yeah.
And they think we are so cowed, we are so weak, we are so pathetic that nobody has the will to do that.
Yeah.
And I think they gravely underestimate how close they are getting to a precipice where people will say,
because if it's between, like, I don't even have kids, but like I think about my brother. Okay, if it's between like your kids having to, or you have a kid on the way. Yep. If it's between like your guys' kids mandatorily getting the vaccine, or
they can try and give my pregnant wife, the vaccine. I'm not kidding you. Yeah. Everyone will die. Everyone will die. Everyone will die.
Cheers to that.
Yeah. Cheers. Yeah. If it's down to that, it's down to your children being, effectively handed a death sentence, possibly. You don't know.
Yep.
Or who cares? You're not doing
because I don't want it.
Yeah, you're not injecting my children's body with something, or I'm going to find where you live.
Yeah.
And you got 2 or 3 bodyguards? Well, I got 20 crazy
I'll go to Williamson County Medical Center and stand in the lobby.
Yeah.
And shoot everyone and everything that walks through the door.
I'll turn this place into an abattoir.
That's what they don't realize. They are very close to a place where somebody says, I don't care at all. You put me on CNN and say I'm a right-wing extremist.
Sure.
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. You're not doing that to my family.
Yeah. I told my wife that. I said, the day they say you have to turn in your guns, because I'm convinced what the next step is, whether it be a MAGA BLM conflict but I think before that, there will be some type of crazy right-wing extremist guy, kind of like the guy who went in front of the Capitol and said he was going to blow up a bomb there in his truck.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think like that, they'll send some CIA agent, they'll send some CIA smoke show on the top of a building, and he'll whack 40 people and leave a AR-15 behind.
Right.
That's what he was doing during Obama.
And they'll say
in Vegas.
And they did it. Well, they did it in Sandy Hook.
And just
Sandy
like what I think what they're going. I
and
think
they
what
caught
they
one of the guys and let him go.
I think what they're
running
realizing.
through the woods. I remember that.
I think what they're realizing with COVID and what they've done with like the eviction moratorium and stuff is they're going to frame it as a health crisis.
Right.
There will be a mass shooting, and they'll say, "Listen, we believe in the Constitution, we believe in the Second Amendment, but we suspend the Constitution in times."
Oh, potato cam. Sorry, peanut butter cam after party.
Ew.
Hold on, guys. It is the peanut butter cam after party. Let me switch cameras here.
Ew.
The part of the show where the battery on our camera dies and we can go extra deep. Welcome to the after party. Let me tilt this down a little bit. Get your pit vipers on. Now it's real talk, people.
But
now it's real talk.
I thought it was real talk before.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's going to get nasty.
Yeah, now we get dirty.
But it truly, I think.
What are pit vipers? What's
Oh,
up?
here, bro.
What's up? No, it's
Yeah, you were.
I got glasses.
I
I wore them last time.
You have a whole shipment of them, right?
Yeah.
I gotta get some.
I think.
This is awesome.
I don't even.
Really badass.
I don't even know where I got. I don't even know where I
I'm
got
dumb.
to
Here, you
before
put them
we
back
put
on.
the
I can't pull it off.
Yeah, I don't think I can.
But I do want some.
I think that is that for me is the tipping point. Is there will be some type of mass shooting.
Yeah.
That seems suspect.
Something that they orchestrated.
That they will then say,
flag.
listen, we know there's a Second Amendment, and we think it's important.
Sure.
We think the Second Amendment is super important.
Yeah.
But right now, there is a health crisis with gun violence, and we don't want to take your guns away, but we have to. It's not. We don't want to. We've got to send police officers to every registered gun owner. If you have a pistol license, we are showing up at your house. We have to take your guns.
Yeah.
It is a existential crisis. There are people dying all over the country, and I've told my wife a number of times. I said there are a few days that will change my life. I said, but the day that happens, you should just get in the car.
Yep.
And you should go to your sister's.
Yep.
I said, because that's the day the Civil War will start for me.
That's the day it starts for all of us. And they'll do it by having like 5 or 6 of those happen over a month.
Yep.
It won't just be one.
Yep. It will have to be a few times.
It just keeps happening. It's just going to keep happening until we take all the guns.
We know the Supreme Court's going to shut it down, but we have to. Yeah. There's a moratorium. They'll shut down ammo sales after the first or second one. They'll say you can't buy ammo anymore. Yeah. Then they'll say you can't buy any parts for any guns to fix anything. Yeah. And then I think eventually it will either get to that, or they'll say you're allowed to have a revolver. Like they'll make it so that they can go on TV and say, "See, we're not taking all guns.
Yeah, just
you can have a muzzle loader,
just a revolver and a shotgun.
Right? Like that's what they'll do. Something like that.
What do you need a military-style weapon for?
Yeah,
that's a weapon of war to kill a bunch of people.
You're damn right it is. You're damn right it is.
You're damn right it is.
And it's to kill people.
To kill people like you.
You're damn right. I can't get over. It like boils me inside. Yeah, boils me inside.
Yeah. Well, and that's why you get frustrated when you see good things happen, because you know that they are just stalling measures. Yep. You know, right. Because you know it's like, God, great. Oh, good. Okay, so like there's no more tax little tax stamps, like literal tax stamps
on the ammo
that I have to put on the ammo. Oh, great. Well, first of all, you've just thrown a breadcrumb to the starving, Second Amendment crowd, and you've just appeased us, and you've kicked the can down another 5 years. Yeah. You've just bought yourself another 5 years by appeasing us, when really, like, because of the NFA, because of the the Gun Rights Act, because of the assault weapons ban that Reagan instituted, the assault weapons ban, the Brady Bill,
the Brady Bill,
we should be trying all of you for treason yesterday, and we're not, because you've given us a little.
Yes.
You know,
that's what they figured out with the two sides, right? That's what they figured out is, it was for the beginning of abortion. It was safe, legal, and rare.
Yeah.
Right. It's this game they play that it's to pacify you. It's just stick this in your mouth. Just stick this in your mouth and shut up. Stop crying.
Yeah, stop crying.
Stop crying. And then that's why it's Democrat, it's Republican, it's Democrat, it's Republican. Oh, everything swings in a pendulum. No, it's so shut up, liberal people. Shut up, conservative people. We're on your side. Shut up. And meanwhile, the whole time they're selling you out. They're selling Mitch McConnell. They wrote a law. They wrote a goddamn law saying that you can't get foreign donations as a congressman or senator or a political candidate in the U.S. But in the law, there was a clause that said there's nothing against your family, your kids, or your wife being given any amount of money.
So it's like, what's the point?
They actually defined it.
Mitch McConnell's kids got $25 million apiece from the Chinese government. Why?
For what?
Why?
For those Predator drones that he promised to make sure he could get.
That is insane. So you just launder money through your family.
Letter for Mitch McConnell. Did we take that down?
No.
It's still
I never took it down. That's the one episode where I almost was like,
we're gonna.
I wonder if we might get a visit from the Capitol Police. That's the only one. And I was proud of Nick for it, so I never took it down. But yeah, he wrote a letter to Mitch McConnell.
And I mean, that's exactly what Hunter Biden's laptop was illuminating. Those emails were illuminating. He was the conduit. He was the launderer for how you pay Joe Biden as vice president. Is you pay his son. In business deals.
And he gives how much to the big man?
I think 10% goes to the big man. Or 20% goes to the big man. But the reality was 20% goes to the big man. And Hunter Biden, your crackhead son, pays all of your bills, pays Joe Biden's bills. A 47-year senator. His crackhead son pays his rent, pays his dad's rent, who's the vice president of the United States of America.
Underage
prostitute. Are you kidding me?
Screwing son.
I mean, it is an absolute joke.
It's a farce.
There's a great book Peter Schweitzer wrote called Corrupt Empires, and it is mostly based around Mitch McConnell and Joe Biden. And this
kidding.
It was like 10 years old.
Really?
And it was about...
What's the name of it again?
Corrupt Empires.
Corrupt Empires.
It's got Joe Biden's face on it and Mitch McConnell's face on it. I think Nancy Pelosi's on it too. But they said it's all about that law and how they set up the laws so that it's like, hey, we know we have to kind of pretend like Mitch McConnell's not getting paid. So we'll pretend it by your whole family just makes hundreds of millions of dollars. And then when you're out of office, you get hired by Raytheon and make $10 million a year as a board member, but you go to 2 meetings a year. Like Lloyd Austin was last year. Before he became the Secretary of Defense, he was a board member on Raytheon. I wonder if Raytheon will get the military contract from the Secretary of Defense. I wonder. And Esper, the Secretary of Defense under Trump.
Well, the chair of...
he was on Raytheon's board before.
Is it the chair of Biden or chair of Pfizer or one of the board members of Pfizer was the CDC? He was the...
Doug Gottlieb. Doug Gottlieb sits on the board of Pfizer. Interesting.
Scott Gottlieb.
Scott Gottlieb. Yep, you're right. Doug Gottlieb.
Wasn't there someone who used to work for Monsanto who now works for what is it, like the WHO or the FDA?
Janet Yellen got paid $800,000 for a speech she gave to Citadel, the hedge fund that got bailed out when they shut down. Remember all that stuff that was happening, the GameStop, AMC stuff?
Yeah.
When they came out and shut down trading that day, Citadel's option was running up that day. And if the price kept going up, Citadel was essentially bankrupt. They were going to lose billions of dollars, like $4 or $5 billion. So they halted all trading on GameStop and AMC that day. Janet Yellen did. Janet Yellen got paid $800,000 for a speech she gave to Citadel 3 months prior to getting put in the administration.
Wow.
Are you it's so in your face. It's so in your face. It's so just shut up, you dummy. You hick rube. Just shut your mouth. You're not going to do nothing. You're not going to do nothing. Just spitting in your face. And that's the
why,
thing.
That's why they took down Devin Stack's black-pilled, the black-pilled guy. So they took down his book, Day of the Rope. Because,
Really?
like, Day of the Rope is, like, this 150-page book about, like, what happens when a group of guys decide, like, you know what?
Yeah.
We're going to stop this.
Yeah.
And we're going to go after the people who matter.
They are treading, I think, in very shallow water.
Yeah.
Or very deep water, I suppose.
Well, it's like your security detail can really only get you so far.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, my gosh.
You know?
Oh.
Well, there's, you know,
they're foolish.
I was writing about this the other day, that there's been, and we're in the middle of, a cold civil war.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a second civil war. It's a cold civil war.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there will be a flashpoint event
Yep.
at some point, not orchestrated by us.
Nope. No, I agree. Yeah,
You know, they're wanting to goad
I have
us.
no interest in it happening.
The government wants to goad us into doing something.
Yes.
You know,
I think they do because that's the
because
impetus.
it'll give them, in the eyes of the public, it'll give them the moral high ground.
We're the bad guys.
Yep.
You know?
We're the
That's what they need.
aggressors.
That's what they need.
And if they would just leave us alone and stop being
Yeah.
corrupt shitheads,
Yep.
Yeah.
you know,
It'd
they could avoid all this.
Yeah.
Honest, the people who I think should be held account the most. It's funny, are the people like people like Bill Barr, who
had a mandate.
who these people who feign, like people like Bill Barr. It is, at least from what I've read and have conclusions I've come to, is people like that who were placed in front of Trump or to Trump as, hey, this guy's one of the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to help you out. But really, he was given to Trump to, you make all this stuff.
Yeah.
You make all of it goes to you, and you're on his side, and it dies with you.
Yeah.
He sent letters out to states' attorneys generals right after the election, said if anybody says anything about the election being fraudulent, you will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. You'll be removed from your position. And there's one of the Georgia, somebody in Georgia put out some memo they got from Bill Barr the day after the election that said, none of this is to be discussed. None of this is to be prosecuted. Do not look into it. Send anything you find to us at the DOJ. And the reality is, send it all to us so it can die here in the fucking swamp.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And kill it.
Send it all to us. Don't worry. We're going to look at it. We're going to vet it thoroughly.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Mhm.
right. And guys like that don't have a big security detail.
Yeah.
He might have a guy or two, but you think they got enough money? Because that is something I know a little bit about. And to have a 24/7 security detail
Mm-hmm.
on you 7 days a week, you've got to have 4 or 5 guys a day. What are they?
Yeah.
They're doing 12-hour shifts. They're
Yeah.
doing 8-hour shifts. Guys go on vacation. You need to have 10 guys who all they do are defending you.
Yeah. And you got to pay every one of them at least, depending on where you live, 80 to 100 grand a year.
And they're not paying it. The government's paying it.
Yeah.
And they can do that for some. They can do it for presidents.
Sure.
They can do it for people who really matter. And there's a lot of people who I'm sure have security.
Yeah.
But not guys who, if you had 3 guys decide, we'll go scope this out, like what the Taliban would do, what ISIS would do. We'll have guys in a fucking minivan, drive around you for 3 weeks, follow you around, see where your kids go, see where your wife goes,
That's what they do.
see where your dad goes, where your mom goes, and maybe one day there's nobody guarding Bill Barr's mom.
Yeah.
She's probably not alive, but I'm sure there's nobody guarding his sister. I'm sure there's nobody. And that's what they don't fear, which is like the kind of stuff that, not that we're going to do it or I'm going to do it. That I think it's wrong.
Well, then they assign a detail to that person.
Yeah, but
once that happens,
I think that's just.
But it's reactive.
They don't. Yeah, they don't realize the
shark-infested waters they're swimming.
Man, I don't get it. I don't get
red paint out.
I don't get what they're doing sometimes.
Because there's someone crazy enough with nothing left to lose.
Yeah.
Who will just do something crazy.
And
he might be wearing some sweet pit vipers when he does. Who knows?
It won't be me.
Or me.
It won't be any of us. We're
not going to crack and break and do something stupid, but you are pushing someone to do something stupid.
Yeah.
someone is going to get pushed too far.
And when it comes
they're going to
Patriots will win.
I think they want to. I think they want to push someone.
They do. I think they do. I definitely think that I think they're surprised. I think personally, I think January 6th, certainly those were mostly Trump supporters there.
Yeah.
But that was just like the Whitmer thing. It's now come out. 12 of the 14 guys involved in the kidnap Gretchen Whitmer plot. 12 of the 14 were informants. 12 out of 14 people.
Spider-Man meme where they're all pointing at each other.
12 out of the 14 of them. So 2 of the guys were legitimately there wanting to abduct Gretchen Whitmer.
12 other guys
texting them, convincing them.
Convince these 2 guys to do it. That's your government.
And I think it was that to a much smaller extent was what happened January 6th. It was a group of people who were pissed off, who knew the election was stolen, who wanted to do something, but I think they assumed that January 6th would be way worse. I think they wanted it to happen.
Well, they certainly play acted on the back end like it was with AOC's PTSD and her false, and
not
claims.
Bringing in any extra Capitol Hill police. They denied Trump the I think Esper, the Secretary of Defense. They said we're going to send National Guard, and the mayor of Baltimore said no, you're not going to send any military in here because they were convinced at that time that Trump was sending in the military to take over the Capitol in the coup.
If only.
But I think what they needed to ham up that they didn't realize they'd have to do, which again, they just miscalculate everything. It's because they're evil and God isn't on their side. It's because they are being thwarted from the divine constantly. They are just so evil that they have to be miscalculating because the goodness in this world does come through at times.
The truth shines through.
And I think they thought
deceptive people fool that they make themselves look like fools.
I think they thought 5,000, 10,000, these MAGA redneck hicks are going to come in here and they're going to beat Capitol Hill police officers. They're going to trash the Capitol building, which they didn't do. They didn't touch a single piece of art. They didn't touch anything on the walls. Nobody sprayed. I think they thought they were going to ransack, trash the Capitol.
Nobody set fire to anything.
The Visigoths.
They thought we will play that on CNN. For the next 6 months.
It's the same thing with COVID. Dead bodies everywhere in the street, loading up trailers, and it's all theater because they're having. It wasn't as what they
thought hospital
it was.
Ships, the camps.
It wasn't as bad as what they thought it was, but they still have all this. All the set dressing.
The theater.
They got to create the optics.
That
it is that.
And they
deadly.
have to lie about it and play it up as being something it's not. And they all look like fools. Not to mention, all the cops who have died mysteriously for not testifying.
Right? Isn't that wild? Four cops commit suicide after January 6th. That doesn't seem odd.
Because of the trauma.
It's like PTSD. The one day, the 2 hours of PTSD.
And every veteran in the country is rolling their eyes.
Every veteran is just fuming pissed.
You know what?
Because they deal with that all.
Shame on some of them. You always think, where are the Capitol Hill police officers, though, who don't think that? There's no way all of those cops believe what they paraded those clowns up there
with some of the police.
And it's the same thing for the military. If the military is partially on the side of patriotism and liberty and the people of this country,
and we certainly want them,
there should be that Marine lieutenant colonel who put out that video a couple days ago. There should be hundreds of leadership position commanders and captains and staff sergeants who are putting out videos like that. Screw your future in the military.
What does it matter?
The idea that there's not, and that is the one thing, you say what you want about the Democrats and liberals and the deep state and the swamp. They can drum up ambassadors for impeachments. They can drum up Lieutenant Colonel Vindeman from the intel agencies. That they can draw. They get Capitol Hill police officers to come out there and cry. I mean, they are able to draw up people who will say whatever the narrative they deem needs to be spout, and blows my mind that they're not. And I get it. It's that like it's what you alluded to earlier of this like this patriotism of a lot of the conservative patriots in the military. They're like, well, I don't care what I think. I am not going to speak out ill against the leadership. And I'm in a uniform, and the UCMJ says, Code 10 says I'm not allowed to say this. And as I suppose if that's how you want your grandkids to grow up, and if that's the world you want to inherit this earth, I guess that's the way you should go. But I cannot believe that there's not thousands and thousands of people.
It was perfectly okay for that captain when he was in uniform back during the Black Lives Matter protest to take a knee and dance with all the protesters.
That was disgusting.
While in his fatigues, in his alphas.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And nothing happened to him, you know, because he was on the right side of the beast.
And I think that's the thing that Bezmenov was talking about is when you convince the culture that this side is the virtuous, when you change the narrative of how the entire topic is discussed, of well, conservative is like you're backwards, like you want to conserve these old beliefs, but the world is progressing and everyone's growing and we're accepting and you're unaccepting.
And we're enlightened and you're still in the dark.
Yeah, when you frame the entire discussion as constantly moving left, when the Overton window is just constantly shifting left and left and left and left, they think that it's so publicly unacceptable for a Capitol Hill police officer to come out and put a video out saying, whoa, this is not what happened.
Yeah.
These people were not what everyone's saying. They know they will be ostracized by Hollywood and celebrities and everything. You'll be banned from social media.
Yeah.
And you'll be turned into Mike Lindell. You'll be turned into some kook.
Say it slower. Say I'll get banned from social media.
That they have done.
Yeah.
That they have done exceptionally well.
Yeah.
And nobody breaks rank. That's the other thing that is impressive about the Democrat.
Yeah, they don't let too many people really go against the primary narrative.
Yeah,
nobody. Let their infighting happen.
And when the GOP can be held account or framed as something, they are holding press conferences every day. And you know the GOP is not on your side because of that, right? Imagine if Trump was in office and what happened in Afghanistan happened. There would be senators and congressmen holding press briefings and sessions of Congress. They would be and hearings. They would be dragging people in from everything.
They'd be calling special sessions.
Right. They'd have a special counsel already. They'd have some former Democrat operative as a special counsel running a background investigation on Trump already, looking into his text messages and did he talk to the Taliban? And it would be, and
none of that. Yeah,
none.
Yeah.
Has Mitch McConnell? He's probably called into Fox News, Sean Hannity, or something. I don't know. I don't watch that shit anymore. But he's probably called in and said, "Oh, it's a dereliction of duty. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. We knew this would happen. Just a meat puppet. Yeah, and it blows my mind.
Well, they're paid to lose.
Yeah, paid to lose.
They're paid to lose. They're paid to play act.
The GOP is paid to lose.
Yeah, the GOP is paid to lose, and that shows you philosophically which side is in charge.
Yep. And Marjorie Taylor Greene and Getz are out there saying, I think they're at least fighting for what they believe.
Yeah.
And they're out there saying stuff, but they're two junior members of Congress, right? You'd have Nancy Pelosi, you'd have the Speaker of the House on TV every day saying Donald Trump killed 13 American boys.
Right.
He's so inept. He's so incapable of taking correction from
personally
generals.
Responsible for
this
the
is
murder
his fault.
of 13.
Yeah.
But what do you get now that Biden's at office? You get Nancy Pelosi's first tweet after those 13 service members died.
Yeah.
Her first tweet was in celebration of National Women's Day?
Women's Appreciation Day or something. I did see
Women's
that.
Appreciation Day.
Yep. She's a clown.
Just a couple hours after they all died. She knew what was going on, but she just wanted to keep attention
the third in line to the President of the United States.
Yeah. Well, it's like you talk about the swamp, and we'll probably make this like the last few minutes before we do the rest of our stuff for the thing. But you talk about the swamp, dude. One thing that amazes me about the swamp, and this is how like so far off the mark, I think conservative GOP rhetoric is. There's that chick, that Senator Lisa Boebert.
Oh, yep.
Who was campaigning so that she could carry her handgun on the Senate chambers floor or whatever, and like everybody was championing her. She goes on all the rags. She goes on Crowder. She goes on.
She's the AOC.
Whatever. She's the AOC of the right. She's hot.
Fresh face. So fresh.
She's on Tucker. She's lionized as being this champion of Second Amendment rights, and it's like, you clueless bunch of assholes. Like, you don't even realize that, like, we all hate you people because you deserve to be hated.
Yep.
Because Lisa Boebert is sitting there being lionized by conservative media for campaigning to be able to carry her handgun on the Senate chambers after January 6th. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, no one in D.C. can have a handgun.
Yep. Sounds about right.
No law-abiding citizen in the Washington, D.C. area has the right to own a handgun. Mm-hmm. And here's this tart who is trying to get everybody to pay attention to her, and she's lionized as this Second Amendment, this Athena figure of the Second Amendment, so she can have her handgun on the Senate chamber. It's like, why aren't you out there talking about all the good citizens? By the way, highest murder capita, per capita rate, like in the country. Why aren't you championing for like law-abiding citizens to have their own handguns? Instead, you're so clueless.
Yep,
you clueless.
A place where you're guarded by a personal military force,
right?
The Capitol Police,
and you want more.
You need to carry.
And you don't care anything about any of the people who can't protect themselves.
So it's like Cori Bush went on CNN talking about. She caught a bunch of heat. She put that video up of her talking about. She said, "Well, yes, I know." They said, well, some people say it's a little hypocritical that you say we should defund the police, yet it was released in her campaign finance filings that she had spent $75,000 on private security. And so she's from St. Louis, from East St. Louis, which is like the worst, one of the worst places in the country for murder.
Yeah.
And her answer to them asking her that was like to laugh and say, if I need to spend $10 more or $200,000 more, I'm going to spend it, and you're going to have to deal with it because right now I am needed on this earth to fight for these people. And she said that, and the next sentence was, and you all know that the police need to be defunded. They need to be abolished. So you're going to pay $200,000, not of your own money, but of your campaign donations, of money other people, fools, clowns, gave you.
Yeah.
Those people give you money, and you think you deserve $200,000 worth of personal security.
Yeah.
And that the people in East St. Louis who are living in crime-ridden, homicide-ridden, drug-dealing neighborhoods,
to leave their
they
houses.
don't deserve police.
Yeah.
But you do.
Yeah.
And she said it on TV and sees nothing wrong with it.
And sees nothing wrong with it. That's how you know that there are two classes in this country. There's the ruling class, and then there's everybody else. And the ruling class hate you, and they don't care. So, welcome to America.
Welcome to America.
Storm's coming.
Storm's coming, baby. Bring it.
Is it?
Bring on the rain.
So?
I don't know. I think it's possible. It is.
I think it's possible.
I think it's possible that enough people have been woken up that if there is a true tsunami electorally and politically in 2022, I guess it's possible the wheels don't fall off the cart. Yeah. Like if truly both parties are just gutted.
Yeah.
If 75% of Congress and the Senate are voted out of office, which won't happen, but
now with Dominion.
Well, and even just like there's Mitch McConnell, nobody even runs against him because it's like this guy has $100 million to dump in campaign slush funds that he's gathered over the last 50 years of running.
Yeah.
That, you can run in Kentucky, but nobody's going to know your name. Yeah. Nobody's going to know your name.
You're a nobody.
And they're going to dig up anything. They'll call Facebook and pay him $1 million and say, we need to know every post he's ever made and every direct message he ever sent that he didn't think was public. We want it all, and we're going to find something. But I think that's a possibility. If enough people wake up and say, you've all got to go. Everybody. If you've been in Congress for more than 1 or 2 terms,
you're done.
You're done?
Yeah.
It's possible. I think that's possible. I think a way to do it would be, if you were able to get people into those positions and able to say, listen,
there's the board.
Yeah, and say there's no more. You can't be a lobbyist after you've been in the government.
Yeah.
You can't.
Term limits.
Yeah, you can serve 2 terms and you're done.
You can't take any outside money.
Yep. You can only raise private donations on a GoFundMe page.
Yeah.
You can't have nothing else. You have a single website where people can go on and donate to. Other than that, nobody can donate to you, and it's all public. Yeah. Everybody can go on that website and look at every person who's donated and every amount they donated, and you can go through it. And the max you're allowed to donate is whatever.
And if you're caught committing treason, we take everything from you.
Yeah.
We take everything from you, we execute you, and we expatriate your family, including your children, to other countries.
Yep.
They're never
we drop you off in Afghanistan at the Kabul airport.
Where you deserve.
Yeah, honest to God. You say your wife and kids.
Yeah.
Your wife and kids are gonna with a bag. They get to bring a backpack for all however many of them are. Yeah. They get one backpack. You get and we're gonna drop a C-17 off on Kabul airport. We're gonna push them off the back of it and take off. Mm-hmm. And so, if you want to take money from the CCP, cool. That's all for it.
Good luck.
Yes, but I pray you don't get caught because your family is going to be sold into sex slavery, and that would be bad.
Well, and like we've talked. Do you want any more?
No, I'm good.
Do you want any more?
I'll take a little.
Yeah.
So,
your dad and I have talked a little bit about this before. That honestly, the sad thing is, in order to, there's a reason why I mentioned going after people's kids, as horrific as that is, if that's what it takes to convince. Evil people will not change. Like these politicians, these people who are in charge, they're never going to see the light. They're never going to see the light about anything that's righteous or just. And it's the only way to really get them to change is to either scare them into changing or to take them out. And and I've talked to your dad about it before, that really, unless you're willing to do that, you're not going to win, and you shouldn't even play the game.
Yep.
If you're not willing to do horrific things, then, because here's the thing, the enemy is, and they will do.
Yep.
And you can either play by some gentlemanly British Army redcoat rule, while the American patriots are sniping you from the trees, or you can get in the trees.
Yep.
And that's basically what it boils down to. And if you're not willing to do that, you shouldn't be. You have no place in the fight in the first place. And because it's you have to decide whether or not you're willing to sell your soul potentially to save a country, and figure out what you're willing to do. And if that's not your line, then if your line's back here, then you don't need to be anywhere on the front. Because the front is where that kind of stuff is going to happen. And it's awful and evil and brutal. Welcome to war. It's just
I think the most important thing to stop it from being a very big conflict, civil war-ish conflict, is we have to try and convince that 50% in the middle.
Yeah.
Not to be involved in it, but just to not be involved. We need to convince 50% of this country that these people are evil.
Yeah.
They did steal the election. They have hoodwinked you. They have tricked you. Just let us deal with this.
Yeah.
There's 10%, if that, who are it's probably 2% that are the real evil people. Mm-hmm. And there's probably only 5% at most who are willing to fight that. We need the other 60 to 70% to just say, all right, we get it. There's probably some shady stuff that happened here.
Yeah, we'll let you guys figure it out. Well, that's how the Civil War was.
Exactly.
You know,
and that's how the Revolutionary War was.
Yeah.
You don't need 30% of this population willing to die for this.
Yeah.
You need 5% or 10% of the population.
Yeah.
And you need the other 70% to just say, listen, you probably are right, or you might be right.
Right.
But it certainly looked bad, so
and that's fair.
But what we can't have is them to goat the Proud Boy types, them to goat a something dramatic to happen that then they turn that 50%, which turns the military, which turns all the police departments, which turns all of them onto this one, that focused on this one group.
Yeah.
That's what they think is going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that's how it will go down.
That's a good point. That's a good distinction.
But Ewan Drep in the War of the Fleet talks. He said we didn't need. He said all I need is 10%.
Yeah.
He said because 50% is not going to do anything regardless.
Yeah.
That he said those people, they're not interested in politics. They're certainly not interested in war.
Yeah.
And they want nothing to do with either side. They could care less who's in charge. They just don't want to be messed with.
Yeah.
And so go for it. But he said, you give me 10% of people who are willing to die, and I'll take over a country. He said, because nobody wants that.
Because that's all it takes. And then you be vapor. Yeah.
Or you are weak, I will be strong.
Yeah.
And that's the plan. That is.
It works.
That's
been working for 70 years.
Yeah.
You know?
That is. It's been proven time and time again.
Yeah.
And
it can be proven domestically as well as foreign.
Yep. You know? Oh, damn sure. The thing I worry about is that they want to weaken it internally and a outside entity.
Oh yeah.
Like China is in cahoots or in coordination with that.
Yeah.
Are
Clearly.
You've got the internal struggle of left versus right or whatever they end up deciding it needs to be. And then you have an outside force that comes in and kind of coalesces with the liberal left swamp. Mm-hmm. The CCP comes in and says, listen, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Let's just get them. Let's just shut all this down.
Yeah.
We'll let you guys run the show after we put down the MAGA Patriot thing you got going on here. We'll take care of that.
And then we'll bring our own infrastructure.
And then you don't have to have the bad PR of U.S. government fighting this militia.
Yeah.
Us as a outside NATO, UN, domestic police force, we'll come in and put that down.
Mm-hmm.
And
then it's Wolverines, baby.
Yep.
You want to do our one-offs?
Yeah, let's do the one-offs.
All right.
Yeah. All right, let's go to one-offs.
Better wrap this up pretty quickly.
This should be interesting.
Are you
3 glasses
Mexican
of whiskey
afterwards?
I don't know if I can.
Okay. All right.
Well, I can hang out.
Okay.
I can hang out at least for a little.
If you get clearance. If you get clearance, you have a command structure.
I only have 5 lines on the second page.
Oh.
So.
Oh, see. Yeah.
But I had to change typewriters halfway through.
Playing by Jonathan rules now.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And it is single space. I apologize.
All right.
Here we go.
1, 2, 3, shoot. All right. You're up, buddy.
All right.
I like this.
Hello.
You do your
How's everyone doing?
radio announcements.
All right. I'll read my typewriter one-off that has nothing to do with what we've been talking about.
Oh, sure.
All right. Here we go. I once ran away from a Nephilim. Which is ridiculous because everyone knows one cannot outrun a giant. But one runs regardless. Perhaps that is what marks us as prey. In 2 or 3 long strides, I was snatched up by my pursuer. And if I may point out, the smell caught me before the nasty giant did. Imagine the rot of various creatures caked over giant molars, dripped and left unwashed on a tunic of uncured wool, which itself was decaying. It would not surprise me if Some prayed for death when inhaling that stench. But I have a touch of a cold, and my olfactory capabilities were lacking. I very much wanted to escape and preserve my life. Before the giant popped me in his mouth, he hesitated. Then a look of agony washed over him. With his other hand, he quickly grabbed his belly and moaned. "Something you ate?" I asked. The giant nodded pitifully. "No move," he growled as he set me high up in a poplar. He then squatted, having no breeches to remove, as his decaying wool tunic hung over his knees and was the only required article of Nephilim clothing. Another foul stench wafted skyward, and even with my stuffy nose, I could not bear its assault on my breathing. Hard as it was to keep my eyes open, I observed the refuse congealing between his six-toed feet, then settling into a swampy pool. And while I'm no expert in the bowel movements of giants, it was obvious that this one had contracted some disease affecting his digestion. My best guess was malaria, possibly dysentery. Giants are unsanitary creatures who do not wipe their bums, which worked out well for me, as this fellow finished his nasty call to nature and snatched me from my perch. At once I heard his tummy rumble again. Also, I perceived his hesitation to gobble me straight away. Yet I knew that when he could no longer bear the hunger pains, I would be devoured. It was in this brief moment that I concocted my scheme. "I'll only add to your misery, sir," I said. "You have eaten a diseased human. That is plain to see. Now you suffer from that same disease. I myself happen to have a very bad cold at the moment. I will no doubt add nasal congestion and a wicked sore throat to your ailments." It worked. The giant succumbed to both his digestive anguish and human reason. "What then?" he asked me. It was so pitiful I almost had sympathy for the beast. "Perhaps some herbs. There are some vegetation that could settle that stomach." "No veggies," the giant rebutted. "Only meat for Gog." "Your name is Gog? Well then, Gog, perhaps you should ingest deer, perhaps horse and cow as well. And if you don't like any of those, I hear that pigs have flesh very close in both taste and consistency to humans." "All gone. No beast left," he answered. "Only men." "And how is that working out for you?" I asked. Tummy hurts. Maybe Gog go south. Better men there." I smile and reply, "Oh no. Southerners are way too spicy for your delicate constitution, Gog." "Gog go north?" he asks. I shake my head. "Too hairy up there. Those hard men will only give you indigestion." The giant sighed as if given up. "Then Gog go east. Many yellow man in east." I say, "They are a small race, you know. Malnourished, too. Strange people. They eat cats, Gog. They will only give you gas."
Yeah,
Definitely.
The giant was practically sobbing with despair. I did feel a touch of pity for him. But still I was in his grasp and had resolved to escape. "May I suggest the perfect solution to the mighty Gog?" He grunted and wiped a blob of snot from his left nostril. "Nephilim are renowned for their cannibal instincts, cousin. We call you man-eaters and cannibals because you are very much like us, though if I may say, far superior. But what could suit a cannibalistic giant's diet and health better than his very own? Have you considered eating a giant? No? Oh, I'm sorry, that's probably ridiculous. Anyway, clearly the apex of creation cannot be apex if there isn't one among their own tribe that can best the rest. But I fear that giants will starve because none among them is more powerful than the next." This enraged the giant, of course, as giants are vain when it comes to their prowess of violence. He dropped me at once and plodded off to find his own kind. So full of his quest was he that he stepped in his own puddle of refuse. Good luck, my friend, I called after him, waving. And that, dear listener, is how dysentery spread throughout the Nephilim, wiping them from existence forever. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Very well done.
What inspired that?
I was reading A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court.
Oh,
Mark Twain.
Yeah.
About a present day, I guess 1800s guy, Yankee, and he somehow ends up in like the 6th century.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the way he talked with the very little educated, overly powerful court of knights,
Yeah.
comical. And I'm like, oh, I can do that with like a giant.
I need to read that.
That is very cool.
That's
Yeah.
fun.
Well done, brother.
Thanks, man.
In preparation for the Gary Wayne.
Well done.
Man, I've been thinking about that like crazy. Absolutely, I can't wait to talk to Gary Wayne.
We're pretty big on the whole like Nephilim mythology thing,
Mhm.
the Genesis 6, And Gary Wayne is interesting is that he wrote this book called the Genesis 6 Conspiracy
Okay.
that actually ties it into like all of that weird mythological stuff from the early parts of the Bible.
Yep.
He ties all of that into like ultimately modern day politics, but he runs through a lot of like medieval politics.
Really? That's interesting.
It really is
bloodlines, world world
Yeah.
order.
Yep.
You know, the beast system,
Okay.
and its
Yeah.
origin. So you talk about the evil influences today.
Yeah.
Where they might come from.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's and it's like such a dense book. It's like what 800 and something pages.
Ooh.
Yes, it's huge.
Of like yeah.
I was reading an article on. They were talking about some of the fraternities
Yeah.
and stuff that are at like Yale and
Skull and Bones.
and Skull and Bones and like Stanford and Princeton. They were talking about, which I didn't realize, is that that Al Gore, George W. Bush, John Kerry, they're like 5 of the Bill Clinton was in it. George H.W. Bush was in Skull and Bones. Like a bunch of them were, but from like if you go George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, then George W. Bush, Al Gore, like all of the potential were going to run the country, they were all in the exact same fraternity, a bunch of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Like,
At Yale.
how is it possible
Yeah.
that 5 or 6 consecutive leaders of the free world,
Many of them contestants.
Yeah.
and a bunch, that lost? It was going to be one of the guys from Skull and Bones was going to win for sure, John Kerry or this guy. And it's like,
2000.
what? Like that couldn't be just a coincidence.
No.
That like
No.
it's
There's something behind the scenes that is
yes,
going on.
those people were put
Yeah.
in where they needed to be, and it's just, you think, my God, could it? And like when you think about it, it's just like they talk about diversity and all this stuff. Is like, could you think about a more hegemonic, like
right.
all these people for 40 years of presidents think the exact same way? They're in different parties because they're telling you they are.
Yeah.
But those are people who know the same people,
Yeah.
do the same things, think the same
classes.
way.
It's an aristocracy
Yes.
that's existed forever. It's a family. It's families with this bloodline that have had control since day one.
Yep.
And they put their own in positions of leadership.
Well, and they
until
figured,
Trump came along.
yes,
Yeah.
they
and disrupted
figured,
everything.
yeah, they figured out a way to cloak oligarchy. They found a way to cloak it in democracy,
Mm-hmm.
and
But it's a sham.
But it's a sham.
It's all theater.
And Trump was who shattered that, and that's why
That's why they hated him.
That's why COVID got released early.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to come out in 2025 at the end of Hillary Clinton's day. That's why all of that had to be shifted to, and that's why COVID's not as deadly as it should have been.
Yeah.
Is because they didn't have enough time to introduce into the genome everything they needed to, and it was just, well, he might win.
Can
We
you
need to burn it
imagine
down.
what that would have looked like if they had had the time
Oh my gosh.
to
8 years of
engineer
Hillary,
a virus?
and then-
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
The thing if I could go back, can you imagine
Can you imagine
being
a
in
chick
the
with
room?
3 titties?
Well, yeah, that would be awesome. But can you imagine
Silver
being in the room of some of
She's half monkey.
whomever the cabal is?
Yeah.
Could you imagine being in that room in 2016 when he won?
Yeah. Oh
I mean,
my gosh.
The absolute like
fury and shock
and just meltdown of like this all goes to our plan always. Yeah, it's why so many of the weird things happened. I think with Trump was that I would have loved. I heard from a Secret Service guy that Hillary Clinton literally had like a meltdown that night, and that's why she was throwing stuff and she couldn't come out, was because they said she literally just fucking lost her mind, screaming about how
where is the video?
I know.
But could you like to be on the wall and even more so than her? It's like the people, the swamp bureaucrats who must have been shitting their pants.
Yeah.
That and same thing goes for the 2020 election when it all shut down.
Yeah.
At midnight when Georgia had a water leak, when PA shut down.
Oh, that's right.
When all those states shut down. I mean, they had to have been saying, holy shit, he's doing it again. There's enough people in this country that see reality that, oh my God, he might win. Shut him down.
And even if you don't believe that, like I tend to err more, even now, on the side of like Trump being like that whole Saint Germain thing of like, he's not the savior we want him to be. But the simple fact that he galvanizes them so much and angers them much.
That's why I believe in him more and more now than I did at first.
It's beautiful. Yeah. And you're just like, clearly there's something wrong.
They're so scared of him for a reason.
Yeah, for a reason. There's
and
something
they still are. That's what makes me so certain. They are scared of him still. They are scared the power he has.
Well, he's going 22 hours a day and Biden's taking naps.
Oh,
there's been 4 impeachment trials in our country's history. Andrew Johnson, Nixon, and Trump are the other 2.
Wow.
Says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I saw a crazy thing. So they were talking about the filibuster. You know how the filibuster is now
they
a
were
racist.
To do away the filibuster.
Well, they want to do away with it, and it's racist, and all these things. But the filibuster was used like 30 times in the 150 years prior to Trump.
Yeah.
They used it 700 times while he was in office.
Jeez.
The Democrats used it, and they said, how can you go out on TV and say the filibuster's racist?
You've been using it the whole time.
And used it like
700 times in just 4 years.
In 4 years, and it had been used like 30 times in 180 years prior.
Yeah.
And they said, how can they come out straight-faced?
That's amazing.
And say, well, it's a relic of Jim Crow South. The Dixiecrats used it back then to stifle integration and all these things. They're like,
Democrats.
Wait a second. Why did you use it like hundreds of times in
one term?
Yeah, but they know the general public is so disconnected and pacified and hoodwinked that
we have too many conveniences. We're too comfortable
to
care to do anything about it.
You're right.
The richest country in the world. We have every convenience.
You're right. One of the best things I saw, somebody was talking about COVID, and they said Afghanistan. They said you saw outside of Kabul airport. They said Afghanistan is the least vaccinated country in the entire world.
Yeah.
It's like less than 2%.
Yeah.
And they said nobody's wearing masks.
Yeah. Yeah.
They said how is everybody in Afghanistan not dead?
Yeah.
They said
should not be dead right now.
Where are the piles of dead bodies?
Because they're outside all day.
And like they said.
But if you listen to the government, stay inside.
They said it's just not possible. They said this is the least vaccinated group of people. No sanitary. No hand washing.
Yeah.
There's no Clorox. There's no nothing.
Yeah.
And
there are a lot of ghosts and not a lot of
How is it not running through murdering all these people?
Peanut butter after party.
Peanut butter after party, baby.
Get some.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think, it's all a psyop.
It's all a psyop.
Let's hear yours.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay. I don't know if mine has anything more to do. A little bit. It was inspired by a political TV show that's also ultimately just chick porn. So,
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Tank got out of his car and lit a smoke. He watched the Tesian ember flare to smoldering life in front of him before training his eyes on the door across the motel parking lot. What waited on the other side of that steel-reinforced vertical slab was nothing short of pay dirt and his boss's mess. This is what happens when you don't delegate, he thought. He had been a part of this operation for a few years now, and that was enough time to understand how it all worked and, most importantly, how to navigate and survive it. His boss did not know how to communicate, nor delegate, nor forgive with any true semblance of humanity and humility. His boss got even for all the magical fairy dust transgressions that others committed in his imagination. Because everything was gray, fluid, dynamic, and negotiable to him. That was the game. The operation survived largely on money, and Tank's willingness to do terrible things for it in order to make problems disappear. His boss had a bad habit of hoisting himself up on a cross of his own making, but no one else was playing his game, and so he was a sinking ship, but one with a lot of treasure overflowing the gunwales. On the other side of the metal door was an equally repugnant, stupid human. A harlot. A whore. Not a prostitute.
No.
Tank could at least respect that kind of honesty. No, this was some vainglorious trollop who bewitched men on social media, always posting pictures of herself, her gardens, her kids, her guns, her home gym, but never her husband. Tank knew that you can't turn a whore into a housewife, and so his boss's dalliances were a matter of the vapid dumbasses, insecurities, and ego bondo colliding in a mashup of poor life choices, bad decision-making skills, and a severe avoidance of anything resembling personal responsibility. And thus, enter Tank. He stubbed out his cigarette and slung the backpack over his hairy, meaty shoulder. A quick tap of his left breast ensured that the silenced Glock 19 was still firmly in place in the shoulder holster. The gut hook knife, crowbar, 100-mile-an-hour tape, heavy-duty trash bags, and sanitation kit resting in the backpack were all tools of the trade, bought and paid for not so much by his boss's money, but by his godless, weasel little soul. And like moths to a flame, the equally pathetic, rotten little degenerates who flocked to it, only to be snuffed out by the fiery light of Tank's muzzle flash.
Yeah.
Potato after party!
Very good.
Nice.
I saw we were watching clips of House of Cards, and there's that character in House of Cards who I don't remember the guy's name, but I remember the actor.
Mike.
He's been in a bunch of stuff. He's like the cleaner, I guess. I've never really like sat down and watched.
Yeah, I haven't seen any.
I don't watch like pussy TV, so I don't really know.
I haven't seen House of Cards.
But yeah, so it's like it's just like what happens if you get in the mindset of that?
He's the one
character?
that pushes the girl in front of the train.
I think
He's a
so.
wet
Yeah.
work- wet
Yeah.
work guy.
Yeah, he's a cleaner. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
Thank you.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Very good.
You're welcome, America.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
We
You're
need
welcome,
more.
Flat
We need more
Earth.
of those. We need more of
Oh,
those.
well.
Well,
We're both good.
This has been awesome. We have gone on for way longer than we were allowed to have Todd for.
No,
But we're super grateful for it.
I'll come back anytime.
And
I had a
subscribe.
blast.
Will you come back?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
All right.
sure.
Subscribe to Gosslings on YouTube or
Yeah.
Rumble.
Yes.
Oh,
Also on
shit,
Rumble.
yeah.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
Yep, absolutely. Join the group on Facebook while
Yep.
it exists before Facebook
Yes.
kicks us off.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Facebook.com/the Gosslings.
What if we
Gossip.
took over Facebook?
I hate Facebook. You know
By
what? Screw you,
violent
Facebook.
force.
Screw you.
You
I
know?
don't care if I get kicked off. I've downloaded all my photos
Yeah,
that I want to save since my kids were born.
yeah.
And if I get banned from Facebook,
It's one thing
screw
that
you.
like
I don't care.
it's a phrase that comes to mind whenever I like talk to Delta
Exactly.
about those situations where he's just like, "You have no power over me. There's nothing you can do."
Yeah,
to
there's
me.
nothing.
Yep.
I
You
couldn't
can't
care
hurt
less.
Yep.
I don't care.
I couldn't
Yep.
care less about Facebook. If they squashed Facebook and they turned around and deactivated my Instagram account, because obviously
Yeah.
they own Instagram,
Yep.
What
I
you
would
lose?
wake up tomorrow morning just as happy.
Yeah,
Yep.
and you'd have more time to do things that
Yep.
matter.
Yep.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not in
here with you. You're in here with me.
And if you like our T-shirts, Mechanic Typewriter
Yes.
or Aliens Are Just
Yeah.
Demons, which is brilliant.
We're gonna get Todd a T-shirt.
You can. We should get you a T-shirt.
Let me know.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
get
I'm
you one
in.
of these over here.
Next time we get together, I'll have a
Throw you
T-shirt.
some dollars.
Nah,
Yeah, man.
whatever.
And
I pay for shirts.
I think that's it, except for Week in a Review. If you want to do Week in a Review, I don't have much.
We can review.
Yes, we can review.
For Adam, I know you're watching this on the back end, bud. Love you guys. Adam was interested in Win, and I have started working on the 6th Angel book, going through it. So it'll probably
Nice.
take me the next few months to get that done. But Adam, rest assured, I am actually working on that now. I sent him the prologue for the 7th book, which is
Oh.
this speech that a character gives to like the legions of hell before they like invade heaven, you know.
Oh wow.
Just to get him like motivated. I'm like, okay, so like
Get
here's
ready.
like, yeah, like get ready, bitch, because like here's one of the best things I ever wrote, right? But we got to get
Awesome.
through this book first
Yep.
to get to this point.
Okay.
So let this motivate you, you know.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's what I'm working on. I reached a good stopping point in Sasquatch Lips. I got 181 pages in the Sasquatch book.
That's good.
So yeah, it's like a good stopping point. Then we can move on and talk about the other, do the Angel stuff.
Yeah.
Get that out of the way so I can have all 7 books published before I'm killed. You know. So,
Before you're Clinton.
yeah, before I'm suicided.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not. What are they going to do?
Before I'm Epsteined.
You know,
Yeah.
we're
No,
nobody.
you know.
Nobody watches us.
Yeah, no one cares.
We're not
you
a
know.
threat to anybody.
What if like
There's
and we're not,
people
and
watching.
nobody's a threat to anybody until
there are
they
people
push us too
watching?
Yeah, we
you
got
know.
some, right?
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
we've
not
had
good.
some over the. You know, it's funny though. We catch more views on the back end
Yep.
Yeah,
than
Yep.
we do. You know,
Yeah.
obviously
That
on the
makes sense.
replay. YouTube kind of neuters the algorithm for
course.
live streams nowadays
Yeah.
because of COVID. They're not real big on
Okay.
promoting the live streams anymore like they used to. I would find it hilariously apropos if we are wildly popular in like all the alphabet agencies. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, that'd be
Like
fascinating.
the normal human population
Yeah.
doesn't watch us, but like the NSA.
Yeah, how many
Yeah.
Edward
The
Snowden?
It'd be
Yeah.
awesome if there's
check
some
it out.
guy in the NSA watching us like, son of a bitch, they're right.
They're right.
Oh,
They're right
gosh,
again.
I know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know why I have
Goslings are awesome.
Goslings is great.
Then he's gonna release a bunch of information.
I'm a
you
Jew,
know,
Yeah.
so,
Tiger,
you know,
man. I'm a Jew.
Yeah, this is
Tiger.
going to be on the dark net.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
long as they buy my kid's book, that's all
Yeah.
I care about.
Hey,
yeah,
there we go.
You know?
yeah. You can buy this on taurusnecros.com. I'll post the link below. That's the special edition.
You can get this on Amazon while I'm
And,
still allowed to post things on
Yeah,
Amazon.
while we're still allowed to sell things on Amazon.
This is great.
So
How
Yeah,
dare
kids.
you.
It's
Yeah.
not political. It's
No.
just an adventure, fantasy adventure
Yeah.
for 8 to 12-year-olds. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I think
And that's it. Yeah. And me, I haven't done anything. I finished
Yeah.
a chapter of He's Bancroft
Yeah.
and did a whole lot of typing on my new typewriter.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a new typewriter, and I was playing around with that quite a bit. And then doing the social media, the godless social media stuff.
Mhm.
And that's it. This has been a rough week.
So
Been around
Todd, we
overall.
can't necessarily promote anything that we normally would talk about, but is there anything at all that you would like to? And the
Honestly,
answer can be no to that. That's
no. I this weekend, what have I done? I mean, I haven't written anything, so I feel a little
no, that's
feel a
okay.
little behind
didn't
the
expect you to.
times.
No, we
but
didn't
no.
Yeah.
I
How dare you?
I've been doing a fair amount of work out on the property, kind of
Oh, yeah.
getting some stuff done, but putting some things together for a patent.
Oh yeah.
I've been working on and a little invention, so
Yeah.
hopefully,
That's cool.
Hopefully, next time I come, I can talk a little bit more about
Yeah.
that. I'm sure I can. It's not.
It'd be exciting.
It's all protected now, so
Cool.
we certainly can get into that a little bit. if
That's
you
been
guys
in the
would like.
works for a while. And
Has been.
It could be like a really cool little game.
Nice.
Hopefully, we
for
can
us.
start a new world here.
New venture.
Just buy half of
Uh-huh.
Wyoming and
Yeah.
get
Why
away
not?
from all
Dude,
this
if
madness.
you do,
No
I will
kidding.
move there.
Yeah.
That is my only goal. Is
Yeah.
we just need to get enough liquid so that
Mhm.
you can buy a bunch of property and then just put like millions of dollars into how you can make power. It seems to me like
Yeah.
that's like you can buy 20,000 acres somewhere
Mhm.
or 100,000 acres, but if you need power, that's what you need to be able to create. And so unless you can dump like if you can dump $10 million into I want a solar farm. I want a wind farm. I want all of these different things. I want a way to do hydro, or a way to do natural gas, or whatever it is. If you can get that, it seems to me like that solves most of your problems.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's my main goals. I want to get enough liquid that can buy an enormous hunk of property, put an enormous amount of money into some type of power grid, and then just bring out however many families and people who I know think the way I think and feel the way I feel.
Dude,
start this whole experiment back over again from square one without all the
we could be the
bullshit.
new Mormons.
Exactly.
You know?
We're there.
I'm down.
So, we're
Count
there.
me in.
No public school system. We homeschool anyway.
Yep, same.
My wife is like a homeschool teacher and public educator, so she can help with all the kids from all the families.
You bring all these families with different skill sets, and we'll just start a new thing.
We have independence, patriot-centric education, self-sufficient. Totally self-reliant.
Get your own farms. My wife runs a veterinary hospital right now.
Oh,
be
yeah.
Able to, some of them.
Yeah.
She has a vet
who I've talked out of me.
She's got a vet who I've talked to a lot about this, and she's like, oh well, I've done a lot of livestock, and you have a bunch of cows, you have a bunch of pigs, you have all these animals. I've got access to people who can run human medicine and people who can run animal medicine.
I'm in.
We've got the teachers, we've got writers, we've got everything we need. We just have to get. It's just as I've looked into it, the reality is you need to have $50 million or $100 million to just dump into pre anything to build just the basic structure so that you are able to kind of
I don't need paved roads.
No.
I mean, if we can.
No. I got
At
a
some
taco
point, yes.
now.
I'm just saying,
good.
don't worry about building that first to attract people.
Yeah.
If you have dirt and freedom, people will
water and freedom.
Yep.
Everything else is good.
Yeah.
So that's the plan. That's the plan.
If we can erect a shelter, we'll have water. We have fire. We'll help you build the rest.
Yeah, baby.
Damn straight.
Yeah, man.
I'm in.
I love it, man. Hey, thanks for being here, man.
I had an awesome time.
On the live stream,
I love you, bud.
I
This
love
has
you
been
guys
so
too, man.
cool.
Thank
Fun.
We have been super blessed and very fortunate to have Todd with us. We love him. He's awesome. This has been honestly top 5.
We've been kind of pent up. We've been wanting to talk about these things.
Yeah.
And,
this has been awesome.
Here for it.
We talk about writing. We talk about our books. We talk about strange fringe things. But when it comes to politics, we're kind of metered sometimes.
Yeah.
And,
it's been fun to go deep.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's been fun to finally let
the leash off, baby.
Man, it felt good to me.
Yeah, because I think there are some people out there that they really want to feel like they're not alone.
Yeah, I agree. That's what they've done been able to do with social media is this false sense of you're connected to the world, but the reality is the reality is you're disconnected from everything, and you're disconnected from everything they don't want you to see. Yeah. If they don't want Joe Biden needs to be impeached to stop trending, it doesn't with the press of a button.
Yeah.
And so you feel like you're talking into the wind.
Yeah.
Because you are talking into the wind.
Yep.
There's probably 10 million other people saying the exact same thing, thinking the exact same thing, but it doesn't look like that. And that's what they've done brilliantly.
Yep. Yeah. So check us out on Rumble.
Yeah.
Freedom, baby.
And screw you, YouTube.
Yes.
Yep. Now
all right.
Even.
That's it. We're the Gosslings. I'm Nick.
I'm Jonathan.
I'm Todd.
This is Todd.
This is Todd.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you around. We're going to go.